Chapter 1641, Insane Luck, 3. Jiang Yisheng was also surprised by Yi Qingtang's luck. However, he knew that the elders would not be biased toward anyone when it came to the selection of candidates for the martial arts championship. He shook his head. Yi Qingtang's opponent for the 6th round was quite powerful, but he used up all his energy in the previous round. When he went on the stage, he was breathing heavily. His face was pale and full of sweat, it seemed like he could not even stand straight. Yi Qingtang's 5 opponents were those who were the worst in the valley. She did not require much effort to beat them, so she was still in her best state. With such a huge difference in the physical condition, the man still insisted to fight against Yi Qingtang. However, he ran out of energy after a short while and fell onto the ground. Yi Qingtang won again without surprise. What joke is this? How is it possible? What kind of insane luck she has? She entered the top 20. I can be in the top 20 as well in that case. After 6 rounds, many people were eliminated, but all of them stayed to watch the battles. However, they all complained when they saw Yi Qingtang entered the top 20 just by luck. Jiang Yisheng and Jiang Yiran also entered the top 20. Next, it would be the ranking battle between the top 20 candidates. Jiang Yiran glanced at Yi Qingtang. He lost to her last time, and he still remembered that. He rubbed his hands and swore that he would make her pay back if he could encounter Yi Qingtang later. Jiang Yiran's wish came true. When both of them drew the same lot, his smile was savage. He jumped onto the stage and stared at Yi Qingtang aggressively. Little girl, here we meet again. Yi Qingtang walked onto the stage. She could tell how much he wanted to beat her from his aggressiveness. She rolled her eyes slightly and looked towards Jiang Yisheng, who was standing below the stage. All candidates in the top 20 can go to the martial arts championship, right? Jiang Yisheng did not understand the intention of the question and nodded. Yes, all the top 20 candidates can go. Okay. Yi Qingtang withdrew her sight. She ignored Jiang Yiran, who was standing in front of her, rubbing his hands. Her sight landed on Elder Qian and the rest. I give up. Jiang Yiran's smile froze. The whole parade square was silent. Everyone was stunned as they stared at Yi Qingtang, who gave up before the battle even started. What's going on? She gave up before it even started? What's wrong with her? Her ability is not comparable with Jiang Yiran. Didn't you notice the abilities of her opponents in the previous rounds? She would have been defeated if she didn't have such luck. What the hell? She doesn't feel embarrassed? She entered the top 20 just by luck and gave up when she encountered a more powerful opponent. Is this a joke? All the young men were not happy earlier with Yi Qingtang entering the top 20 just by luck. And now, they all raged. All of them felt that they were more powerful than Yi Qingtang. They were just unlucky and met much more powerful opponents and lost. But such a useless person could enter the top 20 by luck. On what basis? Although the audience cursed and scolded her, Yi Qingtang walked off the stage. Her goal was to get a chance to attend the martial arts championship. She would only use her full strength there. She would not waste her energy here trying to get a better rank. Her initial target was to enter the top 20. Jiang Yiran was stunned as he was prepared to beat Yi Qingtang up. He opened his eyes widely as he stared at Yi Qingtang walking away. Yi Qingtang, are you scared? You're not going to fight me? Jiang Yiran shouted in anger. He really hoped that he could at least punch her once. Yes. Yi Qingtang looked back and answered casually. Jiang Yiran stared blankly. What the hell? Chapter 1642, Forced to Concede, 1. Everyone was shocked after Yi Qingtang suddenly admitted defeat. The top 20 candidates who are going to the martial arts championship represent our Jiang family. Now, there is such a person inside. Won't she ruin our reputation? Elders, Yi Qingtang does not deserve to go to the martial arts championship. Those young men who were defeated earlier were all angry. They hoped that they could fight against Yi Qingtang right now to show her that she did not deserve to go for the martial arts championship. Elder Qian and the rest were also stunned. They did not pay attention to her during the selection, but no one expected that she could be so lucky to enter the top 20 effortlessly. Complaints arose from everywhere. The elders looked towards each other helplessly. The selection is absolutely fair. Luck is also a part of skill. Otherwise, why do we ask you to draw lots? Elder Qian contemplated for a while and stopped the complaints from the audience. But how can Yi Qingtang represent the Jiang family to attend the martial arts championship? Everyone refused to accept that. Is it due to the domain monarch founder, that she can be so lucky? Someone murmured. Elder Qian's expression immediately darkened. The young man shut his mouth as he knew that he said something inappropriate. Not only the young men suspected Yi Qingtang's luck, Elder Qian and the rest also held some suspicions. However, the process of drawing lots was open and fair. No one could play any tricks here. They could only admit that Yi Qingtang's luck was insane. Elder Qian's sight landed on Yi Qingtang. He looked at her in a complicated way, but the ranking battles would continue, so he asked everyone to quiet down. Though Jiang Yiran won without any effort, he felt like he had just swallowed a fly. He had no place to vent his anger. He would really fight her in a secret place if he did not have battles ahead. He had met shameless people before, but not someone as shameless as her. Everyone's comments did not affect Yi Qingtang. They would know whether she wasted this position when it came to the martial arts championship. Congratulations, Qingtang. Jiang Yixing smiled and looked at Yi Qingtang sincerely. Elders were right. Luck was a part of skill. Little girl, you're so lucky. You provoked Jiang Yiran earlier on, and now you entered the top 20. Please help if there's going to be some blind drawing rewards. The fight between Jiang Yiran and Yi Qingtang was only known to Jiang Yixing and the few of them. Jiang Yiran would definitely not let the information out. Jiang Yixing and the rest felt that Yi Qingtang was just too lucky, but they were not bothered by that. Yi Qingtang smiled at Jiang Yixing and the rest but did not say anything. Jiang Yixing still had ranking battles later and could not leave now. The rest of the men who lost earlier on all asked Yi Qingtang to treat them to a meal to comfort their lost. Yi Qingtang agreed instantly and treated them to a meal. While halfway through eating, Yi Qingtang was called over by Elder Qian. There were other elders managing the selection, so Elder Qian brought Yi Qingtang to the empty martial hall. Chapter 1643, Forced to Concede, 2. Elder Qian's emotions were in turmoil as he looked at Yi Qingtang, who was standing before him. He had not expected Yi Qingtang to be one of the top 20. Although the rules could not be changed, a lucky dark horse like Yi Qingtang was unexpected. During this period, Elder Qian had given Yi Qingtang a few pointers, but had not paid her much attention. He only knew that she seldom left her room, so she must be diligently cultivating. Elder Qian could not help but sigh softly at this thought. If Yi Qingtang had not been lost and had started cultivating since she was young, this extra time coupled with her diligence would have ensured that her mutant heavenly demon bloodline would not go to waste. But as it was too late. We will soon be heading for the Island of Immortal Footsteps. The martial arts championship will be held on the island. You've only just arrived in Taiyuan Valley and are not yet familiar with the various Jiang family martial skills. In the next few days, you must work hard and practice these cultivation techniques, Elder Qian said with a soft sigh. They had no choice but to make a frantic, last-minute effort. The top youths of all the major clans would be participating in the martial arts championship. Even talents like Jiang Yenyun might not win. Right now, Elder Qian could only pray that Yi Qingtang would not lose too badly in the martial arts championship and ruin the Jiang family's reputation. Yes. Yi Qingtang replied. Elder Qian had always been pleased with Yi Qingtang's conscientious attitude. At the moment, the more profound cultivation techniques were not suitable for Yi Qingtang. Instead, he carefully taught Yu Qingtang the Jiang family movement technique. He told her to study it carefully and practice hard for the next few days. She could not defeat her opponents with her powers, but at least she would not lose too badly in the arena. Elder Qian meant well. If the domain monarch founder were in the valley, he would not need to worry about Yu Qingtang, but now that the domain monarch founder had left, he would have to take care of Yu Qingtang. Elder Qian taught her in detail, and Yu Qingtang studied diligently. Of the Jiang family techniques, she was best at the finger technique. She was not very familiar with palm technique, sword technique, and movement technique. So she seized the opportunity and did not dare to slack off at all. Her goal was to participate in the martial arts championship and place high enough to enter the mystic realm to look for clues about her mother. That was what Yu Qingtang really needed. For fully half a day, Elder Qian pointed out the flaws in Yu Qingtang's movement technique. Yu Qingtang learned quickly and swiftly grasped the areas she had previously overlooked. Elder Qian was pleased with her progress. He thought that with Yu Qingtang's bloodline and ability to quickly grasp onto new techniques, it was a pity that she had been lost and wasted her opportunity. Yu Qingtang only left Elder Qian when night fell. On her way back, Yu Qingtang met many youths who frowned and looked disdainful when they saw her. Is she fit to participate in the martial arts championship? I wonder if someone fiddled with the lots. The elders may say that they were fair, but she was brought here by the domain monarch founder. Elder Qian is right. Luck is part of skill. A pity that we aren't as lucky as someone to be favored by the domain monarch founder. Ah, a few youths did not hide their contempt for Yu Qingtang. They felt that if Yu Qingtang had not been lucky enough to make the ranking, they might have had a chance to be one of the top 20. Chapter 1644, Forced to Concede. 3. People were often like that. When they did not do well, they could not bear to see things go smoothly for someone else. Especially if it was someone that they felt was inferior to them, that made it even more difficult for them to accept. Yu Qingtang ignored their sarcastic remarks. She paid no more attention to them than she would to a fly buzzing in her ear. But the youths were even more enraged when Yu Qingtang ignored them. Their expressions were malicious as they blocked her way. Yu Qingtang, you're pretty hardworking. Did you just leave the practice arena? Ah. With your standards, even if you manage to crawl into the martial arts championship, you will be defeated in the first round. You better put in some last-minute work. But, isn't it too late to pretend to be diligent now? Get lost. Yu Qingtang glared coldly at the youths who were blocking her way. Oh, hot-tempered, are we? Do you really think you're better than us just because you managed to enter the martial arts championship by dumb luck? If you want my opinion, the smart thing to do is to trot over to the elders and remove yourself from the quota. Otherwise, no matter how lucky you are, anyone will smash you to smithereens once you're in the martial arts championship arena. When that happens, you better not cry in the arena and embarrass the Jiang family. A few youths spoke maliciously. They were unable to take this lying down, and their deepest desire now was to fling the most vicious words they could find at this young girl. Yu Qingtang narrowed her eyes. However, before she could make any move, a petite figure slowly approached in the moonlight. If you dare to make trouble for my elder sister Qing, I will leave you crying here right now. A slightly amused voice reached their ears. Yu Qingtang turned towards the voice. At some point, Jiang Xiaobai had appeared on the road ahead. Her lips were smiling, and her shining eyes were crinkled in amusement. She looked straight at the youths who were blocking the way. The moment the aggressive youths saw Jiang Xiaobai, their expressions changed. They could not help but look somewhat panicked. Jiang Xiaobai walked over to Yu Qingtang slowly and smilingly took her small hand. Then, she looked up at the pitch-black sky and slowly said, "It's a dark and windy night." Then, she moved his gaze downward a little and looked at the youths. Isn't there a saying that a dark and windy night is a good night for killing someone? I think it refers to a night like this, right? The youths instantly felt a chill spreading through their body. All of them gulped involuntarily. Damn it, how could they have forgotten this fellow? They had often seen Jiang Shaobai and Yi Qingtang together. Jiang Shaobai had been absent for a few months, and they had completely forgotten about this killing monster. Ah! Shaobai, we have something to do. We'd better go. A few of the youths saw that matters were not going well and decided to get away as soon as possible. Jiang Shaobai raised a single hand and blocked their way. You bothered my elder sister Qing for so long. Where do you think you're going without an apology? The youths turned pale. They glanced at Jiang Shaobai and Yi Qingtang. After some deliberation, they forced themselves to say to Yi Qingtang, sorry, we've drunk too much today and spoke amiss. Yi Qingtang, please don't take it to heart. Alcohol is bad for you. You should be more careful. It would be a pity if you drank yourself to death, Jiang Shaobai said with a smile. Chapter 1645, Forced to Concede, 4. To the youths, seeing Jiang Shaobai's brilliant smile was like catching sight of an evil ghost. They shivered all over and quickly lowered their heads and slunk away. Yi Qingtang looked at Jiang Shaobai, who had stood up for her, and a trace of a smile surfaced in her eyes. For a moment, it was as if she was looking at the former Xianling sect, the former Falling Sky Valley, and her senior brothers who squabbled violently but always cared for each other. The once familiar faces had now vanished. The countless living things and those kindly faces had all been destroyed by the ancient Yu clan. Yi Qingtang's eyes dimmed. Her desire to get everything back from the ancient Yu clan grew even stronger. Father, Master. Wait a while. I will certainly save you. Her road ahead was a lonely one. Yi Qingtang had long been used to facing everything alone, mockery, abuse, contempt. She paid no heed to any of these. On a road strewn with obstacles, her sole goal was to rescue the ones she once knew. Now, Yi Qingtang could not help but be warmed by Jiang Shaobai's protectiveness. Elder sister Qing, are you still angry? If you're still angry, I'll catch them and beat them up for you, Jiang Shaobai said with a smile. Her bright eyes shone in the moonlight. Yi Qingtang subconsciously reached out and patted Jiang Shaobai's fluffy head. For a moment, Jiang Shaobai's smile froze, and a faint blush surfaced on her face. She lowered her head in some embarrassment. Gone was her previous impish look. Thank you. Yi Qingtang and Jiang Shaobai walked away in the moonlight without noticing two figures hiding in the darkness. What does Jiang Shaobai see in that girl? She's guarded her so closely ever since she entered the valley. Sitting in the fork of a tree, Jiang Yiran was chewing on a stalk of grass as he looked at the two disappearing figures in bewilderment. Jiang Yenyun was standing under the tree, his hands behind his back. However, his eyes were fixed on Jiang Shaobai's figure. Elder brother Yun, what do you think that Jiang Shaobai has been doing outside with the elder? Do you think it's about some special cultivation technique? Jiang Yiran lowered his head to talk to Jiang Yenyun, who was standing under the tree. Jiang Yenyun's expression was remote as he glanced at Jiang Yiran. If you don't have anything better to do, why not go back and cultivate? Jiang Yiran's face turned pale as he was scolded, but he was used to it. Elder brother Yun, I came in 5th this time. That's pretty good, Jiang Yenyun grunted coldly. Jiang Yiran subconsciously drew back and said, I'm just concerned for you, Jiang Yiran spoke guiltily. The truth was that he had been looking for an opportunity to torment Yi Qingtang to relieve some of his resentment, but he had unexpectedly run into Jiang Yenyun. Fortunately, Jiang Yenyun's presence had prevented him from making trouble for Yi Qingtang. Otherwise, if Jiang Shaobai had seen him, Jiang Yiran sensed a chill prickling up his neck. I just don't understand what that fellow, Jiang Shaobai, is up to. But anyway, Yi Qingtang will be utterly crushed in the martial arts championship. Then, Jiang Shaobai will also be embarrassed. Unlike you, elder brother Yun, not everyone is surrounded by people as capable as I am. Jiang Yenyun turned to leave even before Jiang Yiran could finish speaking. Jiang Yiran was left alone in the tree to feed the mosquitoes. Hey, elder brother Yun, wait for me. I'm not too familiar with the technique that the elder taught us just now. Can you help me with it over the next few days? Elder brother Yun. Jiang Yiran shouted as he hurried after Jiang Yenyun. Chapter 1646, Island of Immortal Footsteps. 1. The days flew by, and very soon, the 20 youths chosen from Taiyuan Valley were about to depart for the Island of Immortal Footsteps to take part in the martial arts championship. Since morning, everyone was ready to set off, and the floating ship in the sky was ready to be boarded. Under the elders' directions, the 20 youths boarded the ship successively and began their journey to the Island of Immortal Footsteps. Various clans had set sail as well. The Island of Immortal Footsteps floated above the dangerous waters and was inaccessible using any sea routes. Only by taking the floating boat would people be able to cross the seas and arrive at the place. As the martial arts championship drew near, the sky above the Island of Immortal Footsteps was docked with the floating ships of various clans. The owner of the Island of Immortal Footsteps was a mystery, and barely anyone was aware of his identity to date. When the Jiang family's floating ship arrived at the Island of Immortal Footsteps, the youths on the ship could not hold themselves back from looking at the island that was surrounded by many clouds. It was their first time to step into this battleground of the ancient clans. Once the floating ship docked, everyone alighted successively. Yi Qingtang gazed at the Island of Immortal Footsteps before her. In both lifetimes, this was the first time she came here. Jiang Xiaobai was beside Yi Qingtang, but she seemed to be uninterested in everything here. After stretching her body, she clung onto Yi Qingtang as she poked the little white tiger's bottom every now and then. Fuck you. Shameless. Various clans had already arrived at the Island of Immortal Footsteps, and these top-tier clans of the central mainland led the most outstanding youths of their clans to assemble. Elder Qian and the other Jiang family elders were getting in touch with islanders when an enormous and elegant floating ship docked in the skies, and a group of youths in gorgeous outfits flew down from the floating ship. It's the Qiu clan. Elder Kuan mumbled to Elder Qian when he saw the outfit of those people. Elder Qian nodded slightly, but before he could reply, the elders of the Qiu clan walked over. Elder Qian, it's been a while. The Qiu clan elder smiled as his elegant robe glistened in the sunlight and blinded everyone. Elder Qian gave a light nod politely. Yi Qingtang's attention landed on the people of the Qiu clan. The Qiu clan was one of the finest ancient clans in the central mainland. However, there seemed to be some enmity between the Qiu clan and the Jiang family. Back then, there were various top clans and numerous supreme figures in the central mainland, and every clan went all out to attain the title of the domain monarch. Back then, the Qiu clan was one of the strongest opponents of the Jiang family in contesting for the domain monarch position. However, the domain monarch founder was extremely skilled, and he defeated all the top cultivators of the Qiu clan to secure the position as the domain monarch. Over these few years, the Qiu clan invested all their efforts in nurturing talented youths and had been showing signs of making a comeback. As Yi Qingtang's eyes scanned across the youths of the Qiu clan, she noticed a beautiful girl who looked down shyly and followed behind an elder. Her behavior resembled that of a budding, frail flower that appeared pitiful in all angles, completely unlike someone who was here to participate in the martial arts championship. Elder Qian, I heard that the Jiang family gained a little extraordinary talent a few years ago. I have not congratulated you on that yet, Elder Qiu said with a smile. Although it seemed like a compliment, there was no trace of sincerity in his eyes. You're too kind. Elder Qian replied in a collected manner. Chapter 1647, Island of Immortal Footsteps. 1. Elder Qian, you're too kind. The extraordinary talents from all clans will be participating in the martial arts championship this year. I'm looking forward to a spar between the younger generation of our Qiu clan and Jiang Yenyun, as well as that little extraordinary talent of your Jiang family. However, I hope that they can last until they face the Chios. It would be very regrettable if they lose from the start and have to withdraw from the competition, Elder Qian said meaningfully. Elder Qian's expression immediately darkened. The younger generation of the Jiang family had not attained any good results in the martial arts championship in recent years. In contrast, the Qiu clan produced quite a number of impressive talents who attained pretty good results. The Qiu clan's youths improved at a shocking rate and had embarrassed many of Jiang family's youths in the past few years of the martial arts championship. This led the Qiu family elders to become increasingly arrogant. Elder Qiu, the Jiang family is the domain monarch's clan. There's no need for you to worry about not having a chance to spar with them. A voice suddenly rang as an elderly in green walked over, beaming, with a group of youths behind him. Elder Bailey. Elder Qiu immediately laughed after seeing who it was. The incomer was an elder of the Bailey clan. In the previous martial arts championship, the Qiu clan and Bailey clan had an exciting match. I wonder who will win the title this year. I'm really looking forward to the competition between our two clans, Elder Qiu said with a smile. Ha! Of course, the Bailey clan elder agreed with a smile. As the two echoed after each other, the expression of Elder Qian and the rest grew ugly. For both the Qiu clan and Bailey clan, the youths that they sent to participate in the martial arts championship were very outstanding. While the Jiang family's domain monarch title must not be challenged, the youths of both clans were evidently impressive and had caused the Jiang family to suffer a few times. Each top clan had its own edge in the martial arts championship, but the Jiang family did not perform too well in the past few years. The Jiang family regarded this year's martial arts championship very highly as well. If there were no sufficiently powerful youths to support the Jiang family for a long time, it would be hard to secure the domain monarch position as well. After all, each new generation replaced the previous one. That is Bailey Shi. Jiang Yiran spotted a tall and slender figure in the group of youths of the Bailey clan. He was a gorgeous male, his looks stood out from the crowd, and his calm expression complemented his tall figure, yet there was something distant about him. Who is Bailey Shi? A youth from the Jiang family asked curiously. Jiang Yiran said, You don't know him? He was the champion in the martial arts championship last year. I didn't expect him to come again this year. When he participated in the martial arts championship last time, he was the youngest contestant, but even so, he defeated all the opponents and claimed the champion title. I thought he would not come this year. Jiang Yiran could not help but look toward Jiang Yenyun and Jiang Xiaobai. These were the two most powerful youths in the Jiang family, but should they meet Bailey Shi, a rare and exceptional talent, what were their chances of winning? Qiu Chen came as well. Jiang Yiran looked toward the Qiu clan side and instinctively frowned once he spotted the arrogant and frivolous youth. Qiu Chen. The top talent of the Qiu clan. A Jiang family youth was slightly taken aback. Chapter 1648, Island of Immortal Footsteps, 3. With a glance, the Jiang family youths noticed many other extraordinary talents in the other ancient clans. They were about the same age as them, but many of them had already established a name for themselves. Yiran, you don't seem to be very fond of Qiu Chen. Someone sensed the change in Jiang Yiran's expression after seeing Qiu Chen. Jiang Yiran tugged his lips and replied. No. I like him to death. Qiu Chen seemed to have sensed Jiang Yiran's gaze as well, and he smirked nonchalantly when he looked over. Jiang Yiran almost flared up. This fellow seriously deserves a beating. If I could defeat him, I would have beaten him to a pulp, Jiang Yiran said with gritted teeth. He met Qiu Chen once and was completely thrashed by Qiu Chen. As Jiang Yiran had always been a prideful person, he was extremely infuriated upon meeting his enemy now. Jiang Yenyun cast a glance at the furious Jiang Yiran and subsequently looked away. The Qiu clan and Bailey clan echoed after each other, and although their words seemed very courteous on the surface, they were filled with mockery. Elder Qian and the rest were very displeased, but it was not the right place to act up. On the other hand, the talented youths of the Jiang family were shooting lasers with their eyes at the other two ancient clans as they were young and had never experienced such ridicule before. That Qiu clan elder is so annoying. He has the audacity to bark here, but if he meets the domain monarch, I think he can't even laugh then. Jiang Yisheng was extremely irritated with the other two ancient clans. Although there were many talented people in the younger generation of the Jiang family, there were only a rare few who were outstanding, and the numerous defeats that the Jiang family suffered only served to fuel the arrogance of the other top ancient clans. Yi Qingtang maintained an indifferent expression as she watched the situation before her. She was very clear that unless the Jiang family had enough numbers of powerful talents to suppress the other clans in the martial arts championship, the other ancient clans would just become increasingly arrogant. It's late already, and they still need to rest. Elder Qian, we will not disturb you anymore. Please take care of us if we meet in the martial arts championship in the next few days. Elder Qiu laughed heartily and chatted with the Bailey clan elder for a while before leaving. Elder Qian only managed to suppress his fury after exerting tremendous willpower. Then, he immediately led the youths of the Jiang family deeper into the island of immortal footsteps for the island servants to arrange their lodging. There were still a few days before the martial arts championship began, and a few ancient clans still had not arrived. Not long after they were allowed to rest, Jiang Xiaobai immediately looked for Yi Qingtang to explore the island. Two other familiar-looking youths came along. Just like that, a group of 4 strolled around the island. I heard that the owner of this island of immortal footsteps is extremely mysterious. Apart from the martial arts championship where it is open to the public for a period of time, this place cannot be found in the rest of the year even if one knows where this island is located. I heard from those who came here before that there were many mysterious cave abodes on this island. I wonder what exactly is inside though. The owner does not seem to encourage us to walk around the island either. Why don't we look for treasures during this period of time instead? The two youths began mumbling about the rumors surrounding this island. Only the top 10 contestants of the martial arts championship could enter the mystic realm, and these 10 people would definitely be the top talents of various ancient clans. Chapter 1649, See You in the Arena. 1. They were among the bottom of the top 20 from the Jiang family and were basically there to gain some experience, spar with their peers, and join in the fun. Don't make silly suggestions. I've heard there are few restrictions on the island. If you accidentally enter some forbidden ground, you'll have no hope of leaving it alive. Many fools like you are lost on the island during each martial arts championship. As they walked, they saw a group of people up ahead who seemed to be gathered around something. They walked closer only to see a dozen youths from the Qiu family. They were gathered together and seemed to be cursing at something. In the middle of the group stood the figures of some Jiang family members. Is that Jiang Yisheng? How did he encounter these Qiu family members? The low-ranking youth standing next to Yi Qingtang asked curiously when he saw what was going on. They had been planning to ask Jiang Yisheng to join them but could not find him. They had not expected to run into him here. Yi Qingtang narrowed her eyes. Jiang Xiaobai, who was standing next to her, lost her amused expression. Is this all the Jiang family is capable of? Doesn't seem like much. In our Qiu family, you wouldn't even be able to crawl into the island of immortal footsteps with your lousy skills. What's the matter? Did I say something wrong? Aren't we allowed to point out your Jiang family's incompetence? A youth from the Qiu family said sarcastically. Jiang Yisheng and the other Jiang family youths who were surrounded looked furious. Jiang Yisheng had been planning to look for Jiang Xiaobai and Yi Qingtang, but along the way, he saw that a few Jiang family youths, whom he knew, were quarreling with some members of the Qiu family. He had approached to see what was going on. However, he had not expected these Qiu family youths to be so rude. They had heaped scorn on Jiang Yisheng's head, so he had started to fight them. The two sides were evenly matched in terms of numbers, and their skills were on par, but a big group of Chiu family members had unexpectedly arrived soon after the fight started. This had forced Jiang Yisheng and the rest into an embarrassing situation. After a while, Jiang Yisheng and the others were all wounded. They were outnumbered, and the situation did not look good. I think all of you are begging for a beating. You can't even wait for the martial arts championship to officially begin before looking for a beating. Don't embarrass yourselves at the martial arts championship with your poor skills. Get lost and crawl back to your Jiang family before you completely ruin the last of your domain monarch's reputation, the youths from the Chiu family said, roaring with laughter. What are you saying? I'll fight you to the death. Jiang Yisheng was infuriated. He swung his fist at that person's face. A few Chiu family members held Jiang Yisheng down and punched him viciously in the stomach. Jiang Yisheng turned pale from the beating. You have such lousy skills, yet you still dare to display them in front of me? Looks like you don't want your arms anymore. Break his arms. I would like to see how he participates in the martial arts championship with broken arms. A cold light flashed across the Chiu family youth's eyes. Many of the youths from the various ancient clans could not stand each other, and they often brawled during each martial arts championship. But it was not a big deal even if they lost. It just showed that their skills were inferior. But now these Chiu family youths were about to deal brutally with Jiang Yisheng and the other Jiang family youths. Chapter 1650, See You in the Arena, 2, a figure suddenly appeared before Jiang Yisheng and the Chiu family youths. The next moment, the two youths holding down Jiang Yisheng were sent flying with a kick. Jiang Yisheng was shocked. Only then did he realize that it was Jiang Shaobai who had appeared. Shaobai. Jiang Shaobai was smiling brilliantly as usual, but there was no amusement in her eyes. She narrowed her eyes and swept a glance over the Chiu family members that were present. Her eyes were frosty. Another one looking to die. Get her. The Chiu family youths did not care who she was. They would rely on their superior numbers to teach them a lesson. One of the youths tried to take the opportunity to ambush Jiang Shaobai from behind, but before he could get close, Yi Qingtang suddenly appeared and threw him over her shoulder. He was sent flying. Qingtang, Jiang Yisheng could not help but feel emotional when Jiang Shaobai and Yi Qingtang suddenly appeared. Elder brother Yi, we're here to help you. Well, kill them. The two youths who were with Yi Qingtang and Jiang Shaobai rolled up their sleeves and rushed in. They were all hot-blooded youths. They could not restrain their anger when they saw their family members being beaten up. The appearance of Yi Qingtang and her companions rescued Jiang Yisheng and the others from their dangerous situation. The two sides were ready to give tit for tat, and a bloody battle was imminent. What are you doing? A low shout suddenly entered their ears. When the group of Chiu family youths heard the voice, they froze and turned towards the sound. A displeased-looking Chiu Chen was slowly walking towards them together with a refined and gentle-looking youth. Chiu Chen, we tried to make allowances, but they would have none of it. Chiu Chen frowned and slapped the talkative youth. The youth's face turned bright red from the blow, but he just covered his face and did not dare to make a sound. He lowered his head guiltily. Elder asked you to quickly rectify the situation, not waste your time with every Tom, Dick, and Harry. If you're not serious about joining the martial arts championship, you better get lost. Don't stay here and embarrass the Chiu family. Chiu Chen berated them coldly. The group of Chiu family youths all shook in their shoes. No one dared to show any signs of their temper. The gentle-looking youth next to Chiu Chen smiled. His gaze swept across the Chiu family members, Yi Qingtang, and the others. When he saw the injuries that Jiang Yisheng and the others had sustained, he immediately understood what had happened. He stepped forward and spoke with a smile. I'm sorry. They just got to the island and are rather worked up. They could not control their strength and injured our friends from the Jiang family. As he spoke, He glanced at the Chiu family youths and said, "Your priorities are all wrong. If you injure them before the martial arts championship, the Jiang family will have fewer participants. How will they safeguard their domain monarch's reputation then?" The gentle-looking youth seemed to be rebuking his companions, but he implied that the Jiang family was no match for them. His attitude was condescending and dismissive. "Chiu Heung, what are you saying? If your Chiu family had not relied on superior numbers, you might be the one lying on the ground now." Jiang Yisheng was instantly furious. The youth named Chiu Heung simply smiled and did not reply. When Chiu Chen heard Jiang Yisheng's words, he smiled arrogantly. "There's safety in numbers. But I'll give you a chance. If you can beat me, I'll admit that our Chiu family relied on superior numbers to bully you." Chapter 1651, See You in the Arena, 3U. Jiang Yisheng was quivering with rage, but another Jiang family youth held him back. In the Chiu family, Chiu Chen was the most powerful member of his generation. Jiang Yisheng was certainly no match for him. "What's the matter? Are you afraid?" Chiu Chen laughed softly. "If you can't beat us, you should just admit it. There's no need for all this bluff and bluster. Your Jiang family has not beaten the Chiu family in the martial arts championship for many years." Jiang Yisheng wished he could go and punch Chiu Chen in the mouth. Jiang Shaobai suddenly stepped forward and stood smilingly in front of Chiu Chen. "If you want to fight, I can play with you." "Shaobai." Jiang Yisheng was startled. Chiu Chen could not help but frown when he saw Jiang Shaobai. He was about to say something when he suddenly heard a mocking laugh. "Hey, what is the Chiu family up to? Are they planning to spar with the Jiang family before the martial arts championship?" "Sure. I happen to be free right now. Let's play together." At some point, Jiang Yiran had appeared in the vicinity. With him were Jiang Yenyun and a dozen other Jiang family youths. Chiu Chen narrowed his eyes. The spirit energy around him began to ripple. Next to him, Chiu Haiyang's expression also flickered. He secretly caught hold of Chiu Chen's wrist and shook his head. "Jiang Shaobai and Jiang Yenyun are both here. The Jiang family greatly outnumbers us. If we really fight, neither side will be at an advantage. If the elder finds out," Chiu Heung said softly. "Do you think I'm afraid of them? So what if Jiang Yenyun and Jiang Shaobai are here?" Chiu Chen said coldly. Chiu Heung whispered in Chiu Chen's ear. Chiu Chen's gaze swept over the crowd, and he spotted a shy figure on a nearby beach. This was the young girl who had hid behind the Chiu family elder. At that moment, the girl was walking towards them. She had a nervous expression and did not dare to look at the Jiang family. She only lowered her head and sneaked a glance at Chiu Chen and the others. Elder said, "We are not to get into fights." A sharp look flashed across Chiu Chen's eyes, but he suppressed his rage and raised his head to look at Jiang Yenyun and Jiang Shaobai. "I'm not interested in sparring with you. If you aren't reconciled to your defeat, you can beat me in the martial arts championship arena. As long as someone in the Jiang family can beat me, I will publicly admit that I was at fault. If you can't, then if we ever encounter each other on the island of immortal footsteps, you must keep far away from me. Don't worry. Elder brother Yun certainly won't kill you in the arena. He'll leave you with at least one last breath," Jiang Yiran said with a cold laugh. Chiu Chen grunted coldly. Then, he led the rest of the Chiu family group and turned to leave. The shy girl from the Chiu family silently bowed her head and followed them. As she was leaving, she cast a quick glance at the little white tiger, who was in Yi Qingtang's arms. How infuriating. Those bastards from the Chiu family are asking for it. Jiang Yisheng glared at the departing figures of the Chiu family. He gritted his teeth in rage. "Forget it. Look, your face is all swollen from your beating. If you could really beat them, would you have been beaten up so badly? Jiang Yiran glanced at the bruises on Jiang Yisheng's face and spoke bluntly. They relied on their superior numbers to bully us. If it was a one-on-one fight, I would not be afraid of them. Humph. You go challenge Qiu Chen or Qiu Heiyang and see what happens then. Jiang Yiran crossed his arms. You. Shut up. Jiang Yenyun looked frosty. Are you done? If you are, you better go back and cultivate. Chapter 1652, See You in the Arena, 4. Jiang Yiran raised his brows smugly. Jiang Yisheng was so angry his knuckles cracked as he clenched his fists. Jiang Yenyun swept a look at Jiang Yiran's smug expression and said frostily, You were the one who wanted to save them. Now, you're the one making trouble. Jiang Yiran had been the first to notice that Yi Qingtang and the others were fighting with the Qiu family. He had rolled up his sleeves and rushed over. I can't bear the sight of that Qiu Chen, Jiang Yiran said guiltily. No matter what differences they and Jiang Shaobai's clique had in Taiyuan Valley, once outside the valley, they were one united body. They represented the entire Jiang family. Of course, he could not restrain himself when he saw his own family members being bullied. I haven't had an opportunity to punch that girl. With her poor skills, I think she'll be punched half dead if it came to a real fight. Then, I won't be able to punch her anymore. Jiang Yiran immediately pointed at Yi Qingtang and found an excuse for himself. Yi Qingtang, who had been targeted out of the blue, stared at him blankly. How petty was he that he was still thinking of punching her? Jiang Yenyun glared at Jiang Yiran. He ignored Jiang Yiran's excuse and looked straight at Jiang Shaobai. What do you think of the Qiu family? Jiang Shaobai's eyes had lost their chilly look. She lazily hooked her arms around Yi Qingtang's shoulders and was practically hanging on to the ladder. They're too ugly. I couldn't bear to look at them. Jiang Yenyun drew a breath and said, Pay close attention to that young girl during the martial arts championship. Jiang Yenyun spoke meaningfully. A strange look flashed across Jiang Shaobai's eyes, but she did not say anything. Jiang Yiran and Jiang Yisheng squabbled a bit more before they went their separate ways. Fortunately, Jiang Yisheng and the others had only received superficial wounds. They would recover with some medication. The group had been planning to explore the island of immortal footsteps, but now they had no choice but to return to their residence and get some medicine for Jiang Yisheng and the others. On the way back, they met Bailey Shi, of the Bailey family, and a young girl. Unlike the arrogant Qiu Chen from the Qiu family, Bailey Shi did not notice that they were passing by. He merely patiently bowed his head and looked tenderly at the frail young girl next to him. He treated her with great care. The handsome king of hell, Bailey Shi, has a tender side? I must be seeing things. Jiang Yisheng turned to see the two figures, who were slowly moving away. Handsome King of Hell was the nickname that Bailey Shi had earned at the previous martial arts championship. He had been the youngest participant that year but had viciously suppressed all his opponents with his thunderbolt-like moves. Bailey Shi might look handsome and remote, but he was brutal in the arena like a devil who had crawled out of hell. He had even killed several of his opponents in the arena. Shaobai, how confident are you of winning a match against Bailey Shi? Jiang Yisheng asked curiously. He naturally overlooked Yi Qingtang and the others. Jiang Shaobai leaned on Yi Qingtang. She looked at Jiang Yisheng's bruised but inquisitive face and simply pinched his cheek. Jiang Yisheng howled in pain. I should have let the Qiu family kill you just now. SSS, the pain is killing me. Jiang Yisheng rubbed his face with an injured air. He did not know what went wrong. Yi Qingtang, who was standing next to her, secretly sighed. She glanced at Bailey Shi. In her previous life, Yi Qingtang had heard some rumors about Bailey Shi. Bailey Shi was ranked among the top 10 of Central Mainland's talents. And the girl next to Bailey Shi was his twin sister. Chapter 1653, See You in the Arena, 5, She looked around. The martial arts championship had not yet begun, but many of the highly talented younger generation from the ancient clans had arrived. Be it Qiu Chen or Bailey Shi, they were all exceptionally rare talents. But what bothered Yu Qingtang the most about this martial arts championship was the absence of the ancient Yu clan. The ancient Yu clan should also be participating in the martial arts championship, but this time, they seemed to have no intention of coming. Once the ancient Yu clan began controlling little Yu Yun, they had become more and more ambitious. Yi Qingtang's current goal was to enter the mystic realm to look for clues about her mother. At the same time, she wanted to gain even more power from the mystic realm. But after encountering the experts of the younger generation from the various ancient clans, Yi Qingtang did not dare to slack off in her cultivation. Yi Qingtang finally calmed herself down after returning to her room. She sat cross-legged and began to cultivate. She was at the peak of the third heaven of the heavenly venerate realm. She had remained there for some time, but still showed no sign of breaking through to the next level. She could clearly sense that she was just a step away from the fourth heaven, but could not understand why it was much more difficult to pass this stage than it had been to level up previously. For a few days, Yi Qingtang remained in her room and concentrated on cultivating. Even if Jiang Yisheng and the others asked her to go out, she tactfully refused. If she was unable to enter the top 10 of the martial arts championship, her 6 months of hard work would be wasted. Over the past few days, there was much friction among the younger members of the ancient clans. They were all hot-blooded youths. They already could not stand each other, and now that they kept encountering each other on the island, they would fly into a rage and end up in a fight. However, Jiang Yenyun and Jiang Shaobai seemed to have come to a consensus on this matter. Both of them warned the other youths not to fight before the martial arts championship officially began. This kept the Jiang family youths out of trouble. The days passed swiftly. Soon, it was time for the official opening of the martial arts championship. The various ancient clans gathered together, bringing with them their most outstanding youths to compete in the arena. The noise was deafening as the youths rubbed their hands and cracked their knuckles, preparing for a fight. The martial arts championship was arranged by drawing lots. One needed both skill and luck. If someone met the most powerful opponent in the first round, they would have no hope of reaching the top 10, even if they were the second most powerful participant. Jiang Yisheng grabbed hold of Yi Qingtang while the lots were being drawn, hoping that some of her luck would rub off on him. Yi Qingtang did not know whether to laugh or to cry. The huge martial arts arena was crowded with people. The youths who were drawing lots waited quietly on one side for their opponent to appear. At that moment, the elders of the various ancient clans were all waiting solemnly. Elder Qian and the other Jiang family elders were focused on Jiang Shaobai and Jiang Yenyun. They were the Jiang family's best hope of winning this championship. Their performance would determine whether the Jiang family could hold its head up high during this martial arts championship. Elder Qian and the others felt that Yi Qingtang had entered the martial arts championship by luck, so they paid no attention to her. The other Jiang family youths also showed no interest in her. Only Jiang Yisheng, Jiang Shaobai, and a few others who were close to Yi Qingtang showed some concern for her. However, Jiang Yisheng and the others felt that no matter which lot Yi Qingtang drew, the outcome would not be positive. After all, she had only returned to the Jiang family as a teenager and had only been in Taiyuan Valley for half a year. How could she possibly achieve several victories in this championship when so many were vying for the top? Chapter 1654, Drawing Lots. 1. The top 20 participants of the other families had fought their way to the top. But to Jiang Yisheng and the others, Yi Qingtang had entered purely based on luck. No matter who she faced from the other ancient clans, it would be a foregone conclusion. Qingtang, look up there. Jiang Yisheng clutched her tightly. Even if Yi Qingtang was only here for a while, she should also gain some experience. He kindly pointed to the seats above the arena. Several youths and girls were seated in those elevated positions. The first was Bailey Shi, whom they had encountered earlier. Do you see those 10 places? They belong to the 10 who won the last championship. They have privileges and will automatically be one of the top 10 finalists in this martial arts championship. To be frank, our matches are only qualifying rounds. The hundreds of us need to compete to identify the top 10, who will then be qualified to challenge those 10 people. We have to beat them in order to be one of the top 10 in this martial arts championship, and enter the mystic realm. Jiang Yisheng patiently explained the martial arts championship rules to Yi Qingtang. The time for each martial arts championship was not fixed. Sometimes, the interval between championships was a few years, sometimes it spanned a dozen years. It was said that the longest interval between two championships was a few decades. It was not just the various ancient clans who decided when a martial arts championship would take place. It also depended on the Island of Immortal Footsteps, and when the Mystic Realm would open. The martial arts championship would only begin when the Mystic Realm was about to open. And only the younger generation of the various clans could participate in the martial arts championship. Once they were over 25 years of age, they were no longer allowed to participate. This was simply because the Mystic Realm only permitted youths below the age of 25 to enter. Once they passed that age, the Mystic Realm would expel them without care. No one could explain this strange phenomenon. The last martial arts championship had been held 5 years ago. Many of the top 10 contestants from the last championship had not yet reached the age of 25. Hence, they continued to attend this championship and enjoyed certain privileges. Of the top 10 participants from the last championship, only 2 had exceeded the age of 25 and were unable to compete again. Another 2 from the ancient Yu clan were absent. Even so, that left 6 people. These 6 people were the top talents from the last championship. The first is Bailey Shi, while the second has passed the age limit and is absent this year. The third is that girl. Can you see her? Her name is Mu Feirua. To me, she is like a goddess. Jiang Yisheng gazed tenderly at a frosty-looking girl sitting in the third place. Wipe your drool. You're disgusting. Jiang Yiran, who was passing by, heard Jiang Yisheng infatuated comments and could not help but feel nauseated. Jiang Yiran subconsciously raised his hand to wipe his mouth, only to find it clean. He glared at Jiang Yiran. Are you worthy to think of Mu Feirua? With your lousy skills, Mu Feirua only needs 3 moves to ensure you can't even walk off the dais. I think you should stop wasting your time. Jiang Yiran shrugged nonchalantly. His gaze passed over the powerful figures from the last championship, and he pointed to the youth sitting at the last place. If you want to have intimate contact with Mu Feirua, you must first beat Bailey Xianyun. He's the second most powerful figure in the Bailey family. Want me to help you ask him whether you can have a private match first? Chapter 1655, Drawing Lots, 2. Do you think I'm not aware of that? As long as I'm one of the top 10 in this championship, I can challenge anyone from the last championship. Who says I have to fight Bailey Xianyun first? Jiang Yisheng grumbled. Oh, but first you must have the ability to crawl into the top 10, Jiang Yiran said coldly. Jiang Yiran's words pierced Jiang Yisheng's heart. But he could not help but shrink back when he looked at Bailey Xianyun. Bailey Xianyun had come in 10th in the last championship. His moves were unusually brutal and he was an opponent who did not fail to send a chill up one's spine. Noting the terrified expression on Jiang Yisheng's face, Jiang Yiran chuckled darkly. Then his gaze fell on the lot in Yi Qingtang's hand. Oh, what a pity. Jiang Yiran compared the motifs on their lots. When he discovered they were different, he shook his head with some regret. What are you so petty? Yi Qingtang was speechless. After Jiang Shaobai had drawn her lot, she draped herself over Yi Qingtang like a sleepy cat. When she saw Jiang Yiran's expression of regret, she lazily glanced at the lot in Jiang Yiran's hand and suddenly said, "Oh, I'm fighting you." Jiang Yiran had been looking smug, but his expression darkened the moment he heard Jiang Shaobai's words. Damn it, surely not. Could he be so unlucky? Was he fighting Jiang Shaobai in the first round? Though Jiang Yiran had been full of confidence, he was instantly terrified by Jiang Shaobai's words. He grabbed his lot and ran over to Jiang Yenyun for some last-minute advice. Jiang Yixing laughed gleefully when he saw Jiang Yiran's pathetic figure. Shaobai, you must teach that fellow a lesson later. Beat him until he can't find his teeth, Jiang Yixing said with a chuckle. In response, Jiang Shaobai merely glanced at him, then waved her lot in front of Jiang Yixing. Her lot's motif was clearly different from that of Jiang Yiran's lot. Jiang Yixing, he had been rejoicing for nothing. Yi Qingtang could not help but laugh at Jiang Shaobai's vicious and petty move. She suddenly looked forward to seeing Jiang Yiran's reaction when he entered the arena only to find that his opponent was not Jiang Shaobai. More and more people drew their lots, and soon all the contestants had drawn their lots and the matches were finalized. They began searching for their opponents. Yi Qingtang's opponent was a youth from the ancient Lin Lan clan, and there was no reaction when she saw his opponent. But Jiang Yixing and the others looked mournful. Qingtang, you know that winning or losing is not important. The important thing is that we participated, Jiang Yixing said earnestly as he patted Yi Qingtang's shoulder. That youth from the ancient Lin Lan clan was one of the lower-ranking youths in his clan, but he was truly skillful. How could someone like Yi Qingtang beat him? Jiang Yixing and the others felt that Yi Qingtang would probably be defeated in the first round. They were worried that she would be affected, so they kindly tried to encourage her. Elder Qian and the others recorded the opponents that their family's youths would be facing. Jiang Shaobai and Jiang Yanyun's opponents were not the best, so they were not too worried. When Elder Qian saw Yi Qingtang's opponent, he sighed inwardly. No one felt very hopeful about the outcome of this match. I only hope Yi Qingtang won't lose too badly, or the Qiu family will take the opportunity to mock us, Elder Kun said with a frown. It was hard for him not to worry about Yi Qingtang. He knew it was highly unlikely that Yi Qingtang would win at all in this championship, but if she lost too badly, it would embarrass the Jiang family. Chapter 1656, Drawing Lots, 3. Although they were worried, they knew perfectly well that with Yi Qingtang's talent and skills, it would be next to impossible for her to win a round in the martial arts championship. Jiang Yixing and the others encouraged Yi Qingtang, then began preparing for their own matches. Because there were more people participating in the competition this time, they had to compete in batches. Yi Qingtang was in the first round of the last batch. She could still observe other matches in the arena before her own match. Jiang Yiran was in the first batch that entered the arena. Because Jiang Shaobai had misled him, Jiang Yiran entered the arena with a heavy heart. But when he saw that his opponent was not Jiang Shaobai, his tense expression immediately relaxed. Within moments, Jiang Yiran realized that Jiang Shaobai had tricked him and a mottled fury appeared on his face. He immediately vented his anger on his opponent. Their skills were somewhat disparate, and with Jiang Yiran giving it his all, the youth was soon circling the arena blindly and he lost shortly thereafter. The other youths from the Jiang family entered the arena one after another. Yi Qingtang had intended to look for Jiang Shaobai to watch her match, but the crowd was surging around her and she did not manage to find Jiang Shaobai. Instead, she watched Jiang Yenyun enter the arena. As the Jiang family's most talented and powerful youth, Jiang Yanyun's skills were not to be underestimated. The youth opposing him seemed unable to make a single move before Jiang Yanyun's series of actions sent him flying from the arena. Elder Qian and the others smiled contentedly at Jiang Yanyun's performance. But before Elder Qian and the others could finish basking, another thunderous roar sounded from the arena. They looked at the arena and saw that a bolt of lightning had sent a youth flying. Qiu Chen stood in the huge arena, surrounded by blue lightning. He was sneering as he observed the crowd with arrogance written all over his face. That fellow from the Qiu family is quite formidable, Elder Qian and the others frowned deeply. Qiu Chen and Qiu Heong have always been exceptionally talented. In addition, the Qiu family has spent a lot of effort in training them. I wonder how many trump cards they still have in their hand. Elder Kun also looked worried. The Chiu family and the Jiang family had never gotten along well. This time, the Chiu family was clearly out to suppress the Jiang family. The Chiu family had come in second in the last martial arts championship. If that person had not passed the 25-year mark, he would have been sitting among the top 10. Xiaobai, Elder Kun asked meaningfully. Elder Qian nodded and they did not say any more. At that moment, the elder from the Chiu family walked over slowly, to the congratulations of the other ancient clans. He looked at the Jiang family elders. Elder Qian, what do you think of our Chiu Chen's thundercloud fists? Elder Qian walked over. Although he was smiling, his expression was provocative. Elder Qian frowned slightly, but maintained his composure. The Chiu family's thundercloud fists have always been formidable. Elder Chiu must have spent a lot of time and effort training him. I didn't spend much effort. Chiu Chen only practiced the thundercloud fists for half a year. It was just for him to train his arm strength, but his powers of comprehension were so great that he managed to reach the fifth heaven without much effort, Elder Chiu said with a laugh. He had reached the fifth heaven after training for half a year. What a boast! In his heart, Elder Qian smiled frostily but kept his expression neutral. If Elder Chiu was not exaggerating, then Chiu Chen must be extraordinarily talented. Chapter 1657, A Little Nervous. 1. Elder Qian and the others all knew that the Chiu family wanted to flaunt their strength, but the martial arts championship had only just begun, so victory was still uncertain. Oh look, someone from your Jiang family is entering the arena. Elder Chiu did not care that Elder Qian and the others were ignoring him. His eyes were fixed on the arena. A slender figure clothed in the Jiang family attire was slowly stepping onto the arena. Elder Qian and the others had intended to ignore Elder Chiu, but when they heard Elder Chiu suddenly say this, they subconsciously looked at the dais. Their hearts fell. At that moment, the person standing in the arena was Yi Qingtang, whom they couldn't help but be worried about. In the last few rounds, Elder Qian and the others had been too busy to bother about Yi Qingtang. Now Yi Qingtang was in the arena and the Chiu family elder happened to be standing next to them. The dismay on Elder Qian and the others' faces was almost palpable. Although they were already mentally prepared for Yi Qingtang to lose terribly, Elder Chiu was now keeping a close eye on them. They could not help but wince. If they lost very badly, Elder Chiu would taunt and mock the Jiang family with no mercy. Elder Qian and the others were mentally prepared to refute Elder Chiu's taunts, but the Jiang family youths had not performed well in the last few championships, while the Chiu family had done exceptionally well. So their retorts were rather half-hearted. At that moment, Elder Kun wished he could hint to Yi Qingtang to find an excuse not to compete. If she suffered a terrible defeat, their Jiang family's reputation would be in tatters. I already told you not to let her come. Now look, that jerk from the Chiu family is all prepared to mock us, Elder Kun murmured with a slight frown. Elder Qian was not looking too good either. Initially, Elder Kun and the others had suggested that Yi Qingtang excuse herself on grounds of poor health and admit defeat because she was unable to enter the arena. But Elder Qian had refused. Elder Qian felt that Yi Qingtang had worked very hard for half a year. Wouldn't it be too cruel to deprive her of this opportunity? However, he had not expected Elder Chiu to be right next to him when Yi Qingtang entered the arena. Elder Chiu seemed to sense that something was amiss with the Jiang family elders. He could not help but glance at Yi Qingtang, who was in the arena. He saw an extremely beautiful girl with a slender figure, but she was otherwise unassuming. That girl doesn't look familiar. Is your family secretly hiding a trump card up its sleeve? Now that we're all here at the martial arts championship, there's no need to conceal her anymore. Elder Chiu said with a laugh. His words sounded particularly sarcastic on the ears of Elder Qian and the others. How could she possibly be familiar? She had arrived less than half a year ago. Elder Qian and the others were only praying that Yi Qingtang would either be defeated in a single stroke, or hang on and swiftly concede defeat. That would be better than a lingering struggle in the arena, which would further embarrass the Jiang family. Outside the arena, Jiang Yisheng, Jiang Shaobai and the others were looking at Yi Qingtang, who was in the arena. They had no other concerns, and were sincerely cheering Yi Qingtang on. Although this girl's opponent is not very powerful, to her, he is a formidable opponent. I think she will be defeated within 3 moves. Jiang Yiran swaggered over and did not care to filter his words. No one will think you're mute if you don't say anything. Jiang Yisheng looked fierce as he retorted. Chapter 1658, A Little Nervous, 2, Oh wow, you're so fierce. I only meant well. Jiang Yiran pursed his lips in the direction of Elder Qian and the others. Right now, the Qiu family elder is waiting for a good show. If the girl loses terribly, she will find it hard to give an account when she returns. It might be better for her to leave the arena early. Jiang Yisheng glanced over and sure enough, he saw the smiling elder Qiu and the Jiang family elders, who were all looking worried. He could not help but panic inwardly. On the other hand, Jiang Shaobai was completely composed. She looked at Yi Qingtang with shining eyes. Opposite Yi Qingtang stood a slender, but rather ugly youth. Lin Weiyuan of the ancient Lin Lan clan. The youth cupped his fists and introduced himself. In response, Yi Qingtang raised her hands and said, Yi Qingtang from the Jiang family. Lin Weiyuan was startled. He wondered why Yi Qingtang had a different surname, but did not pay much attention to it. Go Qingtang. Jiang Yisheng, who was standing outside the arena, was particularly anxious, possibly because of what Jiang Yiran had said. His cheers got louder and louder. Lin Weiyuan was at the second heaven of the heavenly venerate realm. How could Yi Qingtang compete with him? As Lin Weiyuan swept a glance at Jiang Yisheng, who was wholeheartedly cheering Yi Qingtang on, he could not help but sneer. Miss Yi certainly has many admirers. Lin Weiyuan had been born ugly, and many people in his family had excluded him and mocked him because of his appearance. He had trained hard to become one of the top 20, and used his skills to prove himself. He despised those who only looked good, but who were otherwise useless. In contrast, Yi Qingtang had been born beautiful. Now many of the youths from her clan were cheering her when she entered the arena, which aroused Lin Weiyuan's contempt. Another pretty face, whose popularity was due to her looks. Of course Yi Qingtang could discern Lin Weiyuan's sarcasm. But when she glanced at Jiang Yisheng, who was cheering her on, her eyes were smiling. To Yi Qingtang, the good wishes of her family were always precious. With that, Yi Qingtang looked away, then raised her gaze towards the disdainful Lin Weiyuan. A cold laugh came out from Lin Weiyuan. What a pity that in the arena, we are judged based on our skills and not our looks. If I accidentally disfigure your beautiful face, I hope you won't cry. Yi Qingtang smiled and replied, I'm actually not worried about that. Oh. Yi Qingtang glanced at Lin Weiyuan's face. Whether you disfigure me or not makes no difference. Lin Weiyuan's expression immediately turned sinister. She dared to call him ugly. Yi Qingtang did not care about looks. 300 years of experience had allowed her to see through the empty shell of beauty. In her previous life, she had lived a long time with a plain face, but she had never allowed it to bother her. Instead, she felt that Lin Weiyuan's heart was even uglier than his face. Of course Yi Qingtang would not allow him to have his way. You have a sharp tongue. Let's see whether you're still so quick with a retort after you've lost. A cold, vicious light flashed across Lin Weiyuan's eyes. He drew his sword and rushed forward. Whoosh! Lin Weiyuan charged with his sword. A wild wind blew around his legs. Elder Qian and the others on the dais were shocked. They could not help but look worried. She was finished. Who knew what that Yi Qingtang had said to Lin Weiyuan? Why was Lin Weiyuan rushing forward so aggressively? Chapter 1659, A Little Nervous, 3. Lin Weiyuan struck out with his sword and Jiang Yisheng and the others, who were outside the arena, shuddered. It was over. But just as everyone thought Yi Qingtang could not avoid Lin Weiyuan's attack, Yi Qingtang turned slightly and avoided Lin Weiyuan's sword with an unexpected dexterity. In the same move, she used her hand like a knife and chopped fiercely at the back of Lin Weiyuan's neck. Crash! Lin Weiyuan, who had been furiously charging towards her just a moment ago, now collapsed to the ground. The force of her blow caused his eyes to roll back in his head. His ugly face twitched and looked even more sinister. Jiang Yisheng, who had been so anxious, was completely bewildered. What was going on? Beside him, Jiang Yiran was also perplexed. He was certain that Yi Qingtang would be defeated ignominiously, but who knew? She had knocked Lin Weiyuan out with one blow? Wasn't that too incredible? Elder Qian and the others seated on the dais were also stunned for a long moment. Then their anxiety turned into delight. Yi Qingtang had won. Had she really won? The anxious expressions of Elder Qian and the others were now replaced by broad smiles. They seemed even happier than when Jiang Yenyun had won. But Elder Qiu was expressionless. Lin Weiyuan of the ancient Lin Lan clan was one of the weakest of various ancient clans. Even within his Qiu family, any one of them could easily defeat him. However, Elder Qiu could not help but frown when he saw how delighted Elder Qian and the others were. Why were the Jiang family elders so happy when she beat one of the weakest members of the ancient Lin Lan clan? Elder Qiu had already anticipated that Lin Weiyuan would lose this match. After all, the ancient Lin Lan clan was weaker than the other ancient clans, and he was one of the least powerful members of his clan. The match had no element of suspense. Could it be that the Jiang family had really fallen so far? Was it simply that they were so overjoyed at beating someone like Lin Weiyuan? Perhaps that was the case. Elder Qiu's contempt towards the Jiang family immediately grew a little. That girl's skills were merely average. But look how elated the Jiang family was. What a farce. Many of the other ancient clans had also glanced at the match. But the results were wholly expected and no one was surprised. Only the Jiang family felt as if they had won a prize. I thought that Yi Qingtang was certain to lose. Who knew? Elder Kun's face had a trace of a smile, which was unusual for him. She has worked harder than anyone else for the past 6 months. It must be that after she returned to the Jiang family, the domain monarch founder taught her a little before she left. But she certainly has not wasted our efforts. Elder Qian was smiling. He was the only one who had insisted that Yi Qingtang try her skills at the martial arts championship, so Yi Qingtang's victory naturally made him look good. To anyone outside, it was natural that Yi Qingtang, as a member of the Jiang family, had beaten Lin Weiyuan. But only Elder Qian and the others knew that Yi Qingtang had returned to the Jiang family only half a year ago. She had only become one of the Jiang family's top 20 based on pure luck. It was a complete surprise when she defeated a disciple from another ancient clan. On the dais, Lin Weiyuan was in a dead faint. Yi Qingtang had won this fight. Jiang Yisheng cheered and rushed towards Yi Qingtang as she left the arena. Qingtang, I knew it. You're the best. When the youths from the other ancient clans heard his tones of sincere delight, they all thought Jiang Yisheng was a fool. How could she be considered one of the best after beating someone like Lin Weiyuan? Little girl, you're not too bad, you knew how to catch him unawares. Did you purposely make him angry? Jiang Yiran had not expected Yi Qingtang to win. When he recalled that Yi Qingtang had enraged Lin Weiyuan before the latter had struck, he thought that it was part of Yi Qingtang's strategy. She purposely infuriated her opponent, then seized the opportunity to strike. Cunning. How cunning. Chapter 1660, Beauty Role, 1, Bullshit. Qing Tang won based on her skills. What do you mean by catching him unaware? Jiang Yixing scoffed. Whatever you say. Jiang Yiran rolled his eyes at Jiang Yixing. Yi Qingtang's victory over Lin Weiyuan was unexpected to the youths in the Jiang family. But on another thought, that Lin Weiyuan was not considered highly skilled, and because of this, they did not find it too strange that Yi Qingtang won. Everyone would only have one round of sparring in the martial arts championship, and they were free to rest once their round ended. This was the last match of the day. Most of the people from the Jiang family passed their round, while only a handful were unlucky to meet formidable opponents and failed to advance. All in all, Elder Qian and the others were pretty satisfied with the results from the first day. The matches for the second day were to be decided by drawing lots, thus everyone was still unfamiliar with their next opponent. After the matches, Yi Qingtang and the rest looked for a place to indulge in a meal. As everyone from the various ancient clans were on the island of immortal footsteps, all eateries and lodgings are also within the boundaries. When they arrived at the Island of Immortal Footsteps restaurant, it was already exceptionally packed. Most of the youths from all the ancient clans were gathered here to have a good meal. Of course, the victors were joyous while the losers were not in the mood and were silently nursing their emotional pain in their rooms. Squeezing through the crowd, Yi Qingtang and the group found an empty table at a corner and sat down. Jiang Shaobai ordered plenty of dishes at once and subsequently sprawled on the table as though he was about to fall asleep anytime soon. On the other hand, Jiang Yixing and the others were boasting about their impressive performances in the arena. All of a sudden, there was a sudden flurry of excitement in the restaurant and many people looked out of the restaurant. Always one to get in on the action, Jiang Yixing could not help but follow the crowd to look out as well, only to almost salivate. Mu Feirua. It's Mu Feirua. My goddess. Outside the restaurant was a cool and elegant lady in cyan clothes, who was escorted into the restaurant by a crowd of people. Despite the large crowd of people revolving around her, Mu Feirua remained expressionless as though she was not involved in this boisterous situation. Beside Mu Feirua was a sweet-looking girl who was all smiles. The girl bore some resemblance with Mu Feirua, but both had completely different dispositions. Is that Mu Rushue? A youth from the Jiang family asked when he saw that pretty girl. It should be. Mu Rushue is Mu Rukshu's younger sister. I heard that she is very talented as well and that she will be displaying her skills in the martial arts championship this year. Although she does look quite similar to my goddess is still the prettiest to me. Jiang Yixing was smitten and his saliva was drooping as he stared at Mu Feiruo's aloof face. When paired with this love-struck expression, his normally attractive facial features were truly wasted and all the group felt about him was disgust. Mu Feirua went to the second floor of the restaurant quickly and happened to sit not far away from Jiang Yixing. As Jiang Yixing had adored Mu Feirua for a long time, he was ecstatic to be able to interact with her at such close distance and stared at his goddess face to the best of his abilities from his seat in the corner. How can there be such a beautiful lady in the world? Jiang Yixing was completely besotted. As he was caught up in his staring, there was suddenly a slap on his head and he immediately turned around with a glare. Chapter 1661, Beauty Role, 2, Wipe that disgusting look off your face before someone sees it and you embarrass the Jiang family. Jiang Yiran and a few of the other Jiang family youths walked over. They looked disdainful when they saw Jiang Yixing's besotted expression. What's it to you? Why do you keep stalking me? Jiang Yixing was infuriated. Oh, whatever do you mean? It should be me that's asking why you keep appearing before my eyes. You're hurting them. Jiang Yiran did not give an inch. Jiang Yixing glared at him. He could not be bothered to quibble with the latter. It was a rare chance to be near Mu Feirua, so he would not waste any time on this scum. Is Mu Feirua that beautiful? Jiang Yiran glanced at Mu Feirua. Although he thought she was not bad-looking, she was not stunning. Of course. Mu Feirua was the most beautiful girl in the last martial arts championship, Jiang Yisheng said frankly. Jiang Yiran smiled before he cast a sly glance at Yi Qingtang, who was sitting nearby. I think her younger sister, Mu Rushue, is much better looking. But, don't you think that this little girl is even prettier than Mu Feirua and Mu Rushue? Yi Qingtang, please let me off. If she had known that Jiang Yiran would hold a grudge for so long, she would not have fought him earlier. He was such a pest. Jiang Yisheng was about to protest, but when he saw that Yi Qingtang did not look provoked, he calmed down. Objectively speaking, Yi Qingtang was definitely a rare beauty. No matter how hard Jiang Yisheng tried, he could not find a single flaw in Yi Qingtang's features. Xiaobai, what do you think? Jiang Yiran said with a laugh. Jiang Xiaobai's head was on the table and he lazily raised his eyes. Unusual. Jiang Yiran did not understand. Jiang Xiaobai said, "You've finally said something sensible." Jiang Yiran felt his chest ache. Why was this fellow's tongue so wicked? Elder sister Qing is the most beautiful. Jiang Xiaobai looked smilingly at Yi Qingtang, his sharp tongue practically dripping with honey. Please completely ignore Yi Qingtang. Thank you. Jiang Yiran rubbed his chest and replied, I heard that during every martial arts championship, besides a ranking of abilities, there is also a beauty ranking. They identify the most beautiful girl in the martial arts championship. Mu Feirua came in first in the last championship. I think this time, the little girl has a chance. By now, Yi Qingtang really wanted to kick Jiang Yiran. Jiang Yiran and the others were still making mocking comments when Mu Rushue, who was sitting nearby, suddenly looked in their direction. What's the matter? Bailey Xianyun was sitting with Mu Rushue and Mu Feirua, and he could not help but ask when he saw the direction of Mu Ruxue's glance. Bailey Xianyun ranked as the 10th most powerful figure in the last martial arts championship. It was because of this that he was friendly with Mu Feirua. It was no surprise that Bailey Xianyun liked Mu Feirua looks and the Mu family's power, so he intended to develop a closer relationship with her. But Mu Feirua was cold by nature, and it had not been easy. At that point, Mu Rushue had turned up. Mu Rushue was Mu Feiruo's younger sister and the apple of the Mu family master's eye. Although she was not as talented as Mu Feirua, she was slightly younger and much more lively. So Bailey Xianyun had decided to target Mu Rushue instead. Bailey Xianyun was proud of his own talents and his position in the Bailey family was fairly high. But he was always being repressed by Bailey Shi. This made him discontented, so he intended to find another way out. Chapter 1662, Beauty Role 3. Bailey Xianyun was currently taking the opportunity to draw close to Mu Rushue, so it was no surprise that all his attention was on her. I saw an irritating fly that kept buzzing. It's so noisy. Mu Ruxue's elegant brow furrowed. She glanced at Yi Qingtang's features and a look of displeasure flashed across her eyes. Bailey Xianyun followed Mu Ruxue's gaze and saw a group of youths from the Jiang family who seemed to be discussing something. With their current abilities, no word in this restaurant could escape their ears if they so chose. But they usually did not bother to pay attention to others. When she thought of the Jiang family's nasty comments, Mu Rushue grew unhappy. If younger sister Rushue thinks it's too noisy here, we can eat somewhere else next time. Bailey Xianyun smiled, and tried to appear as gracious as possible. Which clan is at that table? Mu Rushue asked. The domain monarch's Jiang family. Jiang family, Mu Rushue paused, then her lips curled in amusement. Right now, the Jiang family is only supported by the domain monarch himself. The Jiang family hasn't produced anyone outstanding for years. It doesn't matter whether they participate in this martial arts championship or not. Bailey Xianyun also smiled. Right now, the Jiang family was experiencing a gap in their talents. Of the older generation, only the domain monarch was outstanding, but the younger generation could not compete with the youths of the other ancient clans. They had slowly become a laughingstock at the martial arts championships. Elder brother Xianyun, don't you agree? Mu Rushue raised her eyes and looked at Bailey Xianyun expectantly. In response, Bailey Xianyun only nodded with an indulgent smile. Beside them, Mu Feirua had remained silent all this while, but her glance swept over Mu Rushue, Yi Qingtang, and the others at her table. She knew Mu Rushue all too well, and she already knew what Mu Rushue was thinking. Elder brother Xianyun, is there a beauty ranking during the martial arts championship? Mu Rushue suddenly asked. There is something like that, but it's just a foolish thing that the youths of the different clans do in their free time. It's not anything formal. Although it was just something that was judged privately, everyone recognized it. Mu Feirua had come in top in the beauty ranking, which was why her reputation for beauty had spread through the entire mainland. She had even been called the most beautiful woman in the central mainland. Mu Ruksha's eyes flickered. She was confident that she was more beautiful than anyone else. Even the frosty Mu Feirua could not compare with her. As for any others, Mu Rushua glanced at Yi Qingtang and a disdainful smile appeared in her eyes. At that moment, the beautiful sounds of a zither rang out in the restaurant. A beautiful young girl was sitting by the window, softly caressing the strings of a zither. The light filtered through the window and illuminated her, making her look incredibly beautiful. All the youths from the various ancient clans were eating in the restaurant. At the moment, they all looked over and admired the sight of a beautiful girl playing the zither. The beauty ranking that younger sister Rushue mentioned has just started, Bailey Xianyun said with a smile. What do you mean? Mu Rushue looked baffled. Bailey Xianyun explained, the beauty ranking usually begins after the matches have ended. All the girls who wish to participate will display their looks at a place where the various clans are gathered. Look, that girl hasn't said a word, but when she started playing the zither, everyone focused their attention on her, and naturally they would also notice her looks. To be considered the most beautiful woman in the martial arts championship was akin to being acknowledged as the most beautiful woman in central mainland. Naturally, all the young girls from the various clans were happy to compete. Chapter 1663, Careless Words Cause Trouble. 1. Mu Rushue glanced at the girl plucking her delicate fingers over the zither. Although she was unusually beautiful, her looks were far inferior. Mu Ruksha's lips curled and she took a jade flute from her space ring and began to play it. The beautiful sound of the flute mingled with that of the zither, and everyone looked at Mu Rushue. All the youths were amazed when they saw her extraordinary beauty. Given that the matches during the martial arts championship were so intense, no one would go out of their way to notice someone's looks. Only now could they relax and admire them. The girl playing the zither soon realized that everyone's gaze was fixed on Mu Rushue. When she saw Mu Ruksha's beauty, and that she was from the Mu family, she decided to retreat and her zither slowly trailed away. This martial arts championship is so interesting. Do the girls of the various ancient clans all pursue such leisurely activities? They must be so carefree. Jiang Yiran propped his chin on one hand and muttered to himself as he looked at this strange competition. But Mu Rushue is exceptionally beautiful. She's still not as good-looking as my goddess. Jiang Yisheng was adamant and would not be swayed. Jiang Shaobai glanced at Jiang Yisheng with a strange expression. Yi Qingtang was not at all interested in who was the most beautiful, or the beauty ranking. She was completely focused on the martial arts championship. With her skills, she should be able to manage the next few matches. But if she wanted to be one of the top 10, she had to enter the fourth heaven of the heavenly venerate realm. But now, her abilities seemed to have stopped advancing. This troubled Yi Qingtang greatly. The beauty rankings were created by a secret ballot. If anyone felt that a girl was particularly beautiful, he could write her name down and put it in a wooden box in the restaurant. On the last day, the box would be opened and the votes counted. Under the influence of Mu Ruksha's flute, many of them intended to write down her name. I thought that Mu Feirua was already an exceptional beauty. I did not realize that this Mu Rushue would be even more exquisite. I think that Mu Rushue will certainly claim the title of the most beautiful girl this year. I heard that Mu Rushue is extremely talented, no less so than Mu Ferua. The youths had nothing better to do, so they started to murmur among themselves. Mu Rushue contentedly watched the crowd's reaction. Her lips curved in a satisfied smile. By now, Jiang Xiaobai had lost interest in his food when he saw Mu Ruxu's attitude. He suddenly got up, dragging Yi Qingtang with him. Elder sister Qing, let's go back. Yi Qingtang also wanted to leave early to cultivate, so she immediately rose and left with Jiang Xiaobai. When Yi Qingtang first arrived, the youths from the various ancient clans who were in the restaurant were busy chatting, and no one had noticed her in the crowd. But at that moment, everyone's attention was focused on Mu Rushue. Yi Qingtang and the others were seated near her, and when Jiang Xiaobai and Yi Qingtang rose to leave, they appeared in everyone's line of sight. Ah, who is that? So irritating. Don't block our view, a youth could not help but shout. But just as his words left his mouth, he did a double take. He saw a gorgeous young girl slowly walking towards the stairs. The girl was absolutely expressionless. In fact, her elegant brow was slightly furrowed. It wrung their hearts to see the cares that she bore on her brow. If Mu Ruxu's looks could be compared to the bright sun, radiant and dazzling, then this girl's looks were like a lonely orchid in a deserted valley. Her appearance caused everything around her to vanish, leaving only the unforgettable image of her beauty. Chapter 1664, Careless Words Cause Trouble. 2. Many noticed Yi Qingtang. A single glance was sufficient for them to exclaim over her beauty. For a moment, a strange silence blanketed the entire restaurant. Yi Qingtang did not notice. Her eyes were lowered as she considered how to pass through the threshold of the next stage. Instead, it was Jiang Xiaobai who noticed that everyone's focus had fallen on Yi Qingtang. Jiang Xiaobai immediately frowned and he quickened his steps as he dragged Yi Qingtang along, before they swiftly disappeared from sight. A beautiful girl had left, leaving behind only images of her loveliness. The youths could not help but continue gazing in her direction. When Mu Rushue saw this, she almost snapped the jade flute in her hand. Younger sister Rushue. Bailey Xianyun had been observing Mu Rushue closely, and had not seen the others leave. Mu Rushue bit her lips. She angrily turned her face, looking annoyed. Who was she? That girl only had to walk past the crowd to attract their attention. Was she any less beautiful than that girl? Bailey Xianyun was completely befuddled by Mu Ruxu's apparent irritation. He subconsciously looked around and saw everyone's reaction, and the disappearing figure. His eyes flickered as comprehension dawned. Younger sister Rushue, if anyone has annoyed you, I will make her unhappy too, Bailey Xianyun suddenly said with a smile. Mu Rushue frowned slightly and glanced at Bailey Xianyun. What do you mean? Younger sister Rushue, why compare yourself with commoners? They may be good-looking, but what use is that to them? They probably won't last more than a few more rounds. Younger sister Rushue, you are not only gorgeous, but also much more talented than most girls. Why compare yourself with others? Bailey Xianyun assured her with a smile. Bailey Xianyun's words caused Mu Ruxu's brow to smoothen out. Nearby, Mu Ferua looking on coldly, and did not say a word. Early the next day, they drew lots as usual. Yi Qingtang drew an opponent whose abilities were similar to Lin Weiyuan, and was one of the bottom few in the martial arts championship. With yesterday's battle behind them, the worried elder Qian and his companions were slightly more relaxed. Jiang Yisheng drew a person whose abilities were on par with his. He glanced at Jiang Yiran's opponent and burst out laughing. Ha, you're actually fighting Mu Rushue? Your luck is just too good. Jiang Yisheng did not even try to hide his amusement. With the exception of Mu Ferua, Mu Rushue was the most powerful person in the Mu family. Rumor had it that Mu Rushue was as talented as Mu Feirua. If she were not a few years younger, with her talent, she would certainly be one of the top 10, or even the top 5 in the martial arts championship. Even so, Mu Rukshu's current abilities were already terrifying. While Jiang Yixin was in a good mood, but Jiang Yiran looked gloomy. He had not expected to draw Mu Rukshu's lot. Although he was confident in his own abilities, Jiang Yiran was well aware of the disparity between himself and Mu Rushue. With Mu Rukshu's abilities, she was probably on par with Jiang Yenyun or Jiang Shaobai. How unlucky! Jiang Yiran felt he had been extremely unfortunate to get Mu Rushue in the second round. Yi Qingtang's batch was one of the first ones, and it was soon her turn to enter the arena. Her opponent this time was similar to her previous opponent, so it was easy to beat him. Elder Qian and the others had some idea of her abilities now and were not too surprised. They felt that Yi Qingtang's luck was pretty good, as both her opponents were not too powerful. This allowed her to have more practice as she competed in the martial arts championship. Chapter 1665, Careless Words Cause Trouble, 3. It was soon Jiang Yiran's turn to enter the arena. Mu Rushue was dressed in a long, pink dress and looked exquisite. As Jiang Yiran took in her slender figure, he was completely on high alert, his entire focus on his opponent. Mu Rushue soon made her move. As she raised her sword, the light glittered off it, forming a magnificent display. She looked as if she was poised to dance. Meanwhile, Jiang Yiran was fighting hard. Mu Rukshu's moves looked casual, but every one of them was lethal. After exchanging a few blows, Jiang Yiran was hard-pressed into a disadvantageous position. Isn't that fellow, Jiang Yiran, usually very arrogant? How come he's losing so fast now that he's fighting Mu Rushue? Jiang Yixin was somewhat surprised as he watched the match. In Taiyuan Valley, Jiang Yiran's abilities were top-notch. In the entire Taiyuan Valley, there were few who could beat him. They had not expected him to be forced into a tight corner so soon when fighting Mu Rushue. Yi Qingtang inwardly exclaimed as she watched Mu Rushue fight. Mu Rukshu's abilities were truly exceptional. No wonder she was the second most powerful figure in the Mu family. Jiang Yiran was probably no match for her. In the arena, Jiang Yiran also realized the disparity between himself and Mu Rushue. He suddenly realized that Mu Rukshu's blows were coming hard and fast, aggressively raining down on him one after another. It even looked as if she wanted to kill him. How had he offended Mu Rushue? Why was she fighting so viciously? Jiang Yiran was puzzled, but Mu Rushue did not give him any chances. After many moves, Jiang Yiran sustained multiple injuries. Just as Jiang Yiran was about to admit defeat, Mu Rukshu's sword suddenly sliced at Jiang Yiran's eyes and he broke out in cold sweat. Instinctively, he raised his hand to block the sword and received a bone-deep gash across his arm. How have I offended you, that you want to blind me? Jiang Yiran was enraged as he glared furiously at Mu Rushue. Mu Rushue laughed coldly and looked at Jiang Yiran mockingly. You're already blind. You can't even distinguish the ugly from the beautiful. I might as well destroy your eyes. What did that mean? Jiang Yiran was puzzled. He suddenly remembered how he had teased Yi Qingtang yesterday, and how he had said that Mu Rushue and Mu Feirua were not as beautiful as Yi Qingtang. So that was why Mu Rushue was trying to kill him. It was just a few joking words, but she remembered them and hated him for it. Mu Rushue did not give Jiang Yiran any time to breathe. She raised her sword and advanced once again. Jiang Yiran was already injured, and after a few more moves, Mu Rushue forced him out of the arena. Just as Jiang Yiran fell out of the arena, Mu Rukshu's sword breath suddenly flew towards his eyes. She was clearly determined to blind Jiang Yiran. At that instant, Jiang Yanyun's figure appeared in front of Jiang Yiran. He raised his sword and dispersed Mu Rukshu's sword breath, but even so the force of it caused his chest to go numb. Mu Rushue stood proudly in the arena. She snorted softly, then turned to leave. Thank you, elder brother Yun. Jiang Yiran stood up painfully. If Jiang Yenyun had not acted, that vicious woman would have definitely blinded him. Jiang Yiran, what happened to you? Jiang Yisheng meant to seize the opportunity to insult Jiang Yiran, but when he saw Jiang Yiran's sorry state, the words stuck in his throat. Jiang Yiran laughed bitterly. His gaze fell on Yi Qingtang, who was next to Jiang Yisheng. Well, I was teasing you the other day and that lunatic now bears a grudge against me. Little girl, you had better watch out. Jiang Yiran had not expected his careless words to almost get him killed. Yi Qingtang was taken aback, then recalled Jiang Yiran's teasing words from before. Jiang Yiran had spoken thoughtlessly, and no one had paid much attention to it. Had Mu Rushua acted so viciously just because of that? What do you mean? What does Mu Rushua trying to kill you have to do with Qingtang? Jiang Yisheng was confused. Jiang Yiran glared at Jiang Yisheng. Why won't you believe me when I say you're stupid? SSS, Jiang Yiran suddenly cried out in pain. Ugh, I can't be bothered to explain it to you. I was too careless with my words, and somehow offended that lunatic. Chapter 1666, A Bet. 1. Jiang Yisheng still wanted to ridicule Jiang Yiran a little more, but when he saw Jiang Yiran's downtrodden state, he swallowed his words. Meanwhile in the spectator area, Elder Qian and the others were a little regretful when they saw that Jiang Yiran had lost. Mu Rushua is truly as talented as she is rumored to be. Jiang Yiran is one of the exceptionally talented youths in the Jiang family, but he was no match for her. Elder Qian sighed quietly. Probably only Jiang Yenyun and Jiang Shaobai are able to compete with Mu Rushua. But it looks like there are many talented figures in this martial arts championship. I really can't tell how things will go. Elder Kun also looked helpless. This year, they had pinned all their hopes on Jiang Yenyun and Jiang Shaobai. If even the two of them could not get into the top 10, then the Jiang family's reputation would take a hit. The second round of matches were not as light-hearted. Many Jiang family members lost. Jiang Yiran might have lost that day, but unlike the other losers, he did not stay in his room and sulk. Instead, he followed Yi Qingtang and the others to eat. He tagged along until Jiang Yisheng was so irritated he wanted to kick Jiang Yiran away. Get lost, get lost. Leave us alone. Go look for your Jiang Yenyun. Why are you here to make trouble for us? Jiang Yisheng shooed him away as he would a chick. Jiang Yiran still smiled cheekily and said, Elder brother Yun is not leaving his room for the next few days in order to prepare for the upcoming matches. We are all from the same family, why can't we have a meal together? Can't you see I'm injured? Where's your sympathy? No wonder your female goddess doesn't like you. Oh, actually, to be precise, your female goddess hasn't even noticed you. Jiang Yisheng was so angry he wanted to strangle him. If not for the fact that he was no match for Jiang Yiran, he would certainly fight him. Jiang Yiran sat at their table, forcefully squeezing his way in. He looked at Yi Qingtang, who was waiting for her food next to him, and he winked at her meaningfully. Little girl, I put your name in the box just now. Yi Qingtang's eyes widened slightly. She vaguely remembered that the votes in the box represented the beauty ranking. What was he up to? Please let me off. That lunatic must have something wrong with her brain. She's so ugly. I would rather vote for a pig than vote for her. Jiang Yiran was furious with Mu Rushua, who had tried to kill him. Yi Qingtang, who had been called pig for no reason, silently glared at Jiang Yiran. She really wanted to kick him down the stairs. Was he complimenting her or scolding her? What did you say? Before Yi Qingtang could kick Jiang Yiran, a shrill female voice rang out. Jiang Yiran turned and saw that Mu Rushua had entered the restaurant at some point. At that moment, Mu Ruksha's beautiful little face was completely distorted. She had clearly overheard Jiang Yiran's words. Since Jiang Yiran had already lost and they weren't in the arena, he had nothing to fear. He looked at Mu Ruksha's furious face and said evilly, "What I said is none of your business." "What's the matter? Does the Mu family want to control what other people say?" You jerk, how dare you insult me?" Mu Rushua had always been treasured and praised. How could she bear it when Jiang Yiran insulted her and said she was not even comparable to a pig? Chapter 1667, A Bet, 2, Who has the time to scold you? I'm scolding the lunatic. Does Miss Mu think she is the lunatic? Jiang Yiran raised his brow fearlessly. Mu Rushua quivered with rage at his insolence. Jiang Yiran felt even better when he saw Mu Ruksha's livid expression. He spoke again, "Everyone can vote as they please in the beauty rankings. I think our family's Qing Tang is gorgeous. What business is it of yours if I vote for her? Do you have a problem if I think she's the prettiest? Do you think you're very beautiful? Let's see if you're prettier than the little girl." Yi Qing Tang, who had been targeted out of the blue, she had made a mistake. She should have kicked Jiang Yiran down the stairs long ago. Then he would not be here, making enemies for her like a crazy person. Yi Qing Tang looked at Mu Ruksha's livid face and the startled glances of the diners. She wondered if Jiang Yiran was trying to kill two birds with one stone. Like this, he would pay Mu Rushua back and also annoy her at the same time. Who is she to compete with me? Mu Rushua laughed coldly. Yi Qing Tang, yes, you are the most beautiful person in the world. You're so amazingly beautiful, all right? Ah, you're so funny. In what way is our Tang Tang unfit to compete with you? Your looks are far inferior to that of our Tang Tang. Do you want to top the beauty ranking? Do you want to be the most beautiful girl in the martial arts championship? Dream on. Wait and see. On the last day, the most beautiful girl will be our Tang Tang. Mu Rushua had almost blinded Jiang Yiran. He certainly would not forgive her for that. Even if he could not beat Mu Rushua, he would annoy her to death. Mu Rushua had clearly become Jiang Yiran's #1 enemy. Yi Qing Tang broke out in goosebumps as he repeatedly called her Tang Tang. Jiang Xiaobai was sitting nearby and his expression also darkened. If circumstances had permitted, Yi Qing Tang would have struck Jiang Yiran down with a sword. This devil was making trouble. Ah, Mu Rushua was so angry that she laughed instead. I have never been afraid to compete with someone based on looks. Mu Rushua looked at Yi Qing Tang and she proudly raised her chin in provocation. Yi Qing Tang. Well, wait and see who tops the beauty ranking on the last day. Then let's see. I'm just afraid you won't be able to compete. Jiang Yiran replied with vim. What happens if you lose? If I lose, I will publicly disfigure myself and be ugly for the rest of my life, Mu Rushua snapped out in spite. If anything, Jiang Yiran was even more delighted with her declaration. All right. Then if she loses, she must do the same. Mu Rushua pointed at Yi Qing Tang. Yi Qing Tang was about to refuse this ridiculous bet, but Jiang Yiran answered first. No problem. Oh. Who is so brave as to make this kind of bet with Rushua? An amused voice suddenly rang out. Everyone turned towards the sound. At some point, Bailey Xianyun had appeared in the restaurant, and Mu Feirua was standing next to him. Everyone was stunned. Mu Rushua grew even more furious when she saw Bailey Xianyun and Mu Feirua. She pointed to Yi Qing Tang, who had been silent all this time and spat out, her. Yi Qing Tang felt that if she kept quiet any longer, Jiang Yiran would get her into even worse trouble. So she said, I'm not interested in this bet, and I also have no interest in the beauty rankings. You're the most beautiful person in the world, all right? She had no interest in comparing herself with others. Chapter 1668, A Bet, 3. Even though Yi Qingtang had spoken, Murushua had no intention of letting her off. Why? Are you scared now that you've seen elder brother Xianyun and my elder sister? Where's your pride? Yi Qingtang, let me tell you, Murushua, have already agreed to this bet. So you have to bet as well, whether you want to or not. Sorry, please excuse me, Yi Qingtang said. Murushua was even more angry, but Bailey Xianyun pulled her back. Younger sister Rushua, since she has some self-awareness, there is no need to force her. But, Murushua refused to concede. Bailey Xianyun smiled and looked at Yi Qingtang dismissively. Miss, since you don't want to bet, we won't force you. But just now, all of you bullied Rushua with your careless words, so we can't just let the matter drop. We're not unreasonable people. If you are unwilling to gamble, then just admit that you've lost and disfigure yourself now. Then we won't make things difficult for you anymore. Bailey Xianyun sounded polite, but his words were infuriating. What did you say? Who are you to make Qingtang disfigure herself? Jiang Yisheng immediately lost his temper. Bailey Xianyun smiled, but was indifferent to Jiang Yisheng's rage. It's alright if you don't want to disfigure yourself. If you can beat me, we will drop the matter. Bailey Xianyun deliberately pretended to be generous. By now, the faces of Jiang Yisheng and the others immediately darkened to a pitch black. In contrast, Murushua looked incredibly smug. Beat Bailey Xianyun? What kind of joke was this? Bailey Xianyun had been one of the top 10 in the last martial arts championship. Over the past few years, he had grown from strength to strength. Now in the entire Jiang family, probably only Jiang Yenyun and Jiang Shaobai could match him. The rest did not even dare to think about it. Yi Qingtang had only come to the valley half a year ago, and was the last of the Jiang family's top 20. Fighting Bailey Xianyun would be akin to seeking her own death. That's as good as not saying anything. You're just forcing Qingtang to disfigure herself. Jiang Yisheng had never met anyone as shameless as Bailey Xianyun. How dare he make such a request? I've already said that I don't want to make things difficult for her. I've already given you two choices, you can make your own decision. Or can it be that, your Jiang family's younger generation has declined to the point that you don't even have the courage to fight someone? Bailey Xianyun said mockingly. No one had anticipated this turn of events. Jiang Yiran was also taken aback. He just wanted to annoy Murushua, but had forgotten that he was also getting Yi Qingtang into deep trouble. Put on the spot like this, Jiang Yiran was embarrassed. Although he was always needling Yi Qingtang, he was really innocent this time. His sole purpose had been to annoy Murushua, and he had forgotten that the crucial person in this bet was Yi Qingtang and not himself. And then Bailey Xianyun had appeared and blown up the incident even further. I was the one who spoke carelessly, and I was also the one who made the bet. I caused this incident. If you're displeased, I'll apologize to you now. Jiang Yiran gritted his teeth as he suddenly stood up and spoke up. Although he was proud and rather perverse, he was no coward. Now that he had created trouble, he would not allow Yi Qingtang to take the blame. Chapter 1669, In Trouble, 1, Bailey Xianyun swept a glance towards Jiang Yiran and laughed frostily. Apologize? I'm afraid your apology doesn't carry enough weight. But if you are willing to publicly kneel and kowtow to younger sister Rushua 3 times, perhaps I will consider it. You. Jiang Yiran's expression darkened at Bailey Xuanyun's words. Even Jiang Yisheng and the others felt that Bailey Xianyun was going too far. Fine. I'll kneel. Jiang Yiran gritted his teeth. He had brought about this trouble, so he would accept the consequences. Gathering his robes, Jiang Yiran prepared to kneel. Jiang Yiran, what are you doing? Jiang Yisheng was growing frantic. Yi Qingtang frowned slightly. Although she felt that Jiang Yiran had caused her a lot of trouble, he was being forced to kneel, and that was not an outcome that she desired either. At that moment, Yi Qingtang suddenly stepped forward and grabbed Jiang Yiran's arm, preventing his knees from touching the ground. What's the matter? Come to a decision. Bailey Xianyun sneered coldly. Yi Qingtang narrowed her eyes. A cold light flashed across her eyes, mirroring the gleam in Jiang Shaobai's. He was about to rise when another figure beat him to it. Jiang Yiran, stand up, a cold command rang out. Jiang Yiran raised his eyes and saw that Jiang Yenyun had arrived at some point and was standing in front of them. At that moment, Jiang Yanyun's expression was as frosty as an iceberg and he considered Bailey Xianyun coldly. Is this what the Jiang family rules are like? They don't dare to take responsibility for their actions? If you're really afraid, then just stay at home and don't come out to embarrass yourself, Bailey Xianyun sneered. Jiang Yanyun's gaze swept over Jiang Yiran, who lowered his head in shame. Turning his gaze away, he said, Bailey Xianyun, if you want to fight, I will challenge you in 3 days. Everyone was shocked by Jiang Yanyun's words. In 3 days, the final results of the martial arts championship would be announced. Then, the top 10 from this championship could challenge the top 10 of the last championship. What Jiang Yenyun meant was that he planned to challenge Bailey Xianyun. At that moment, everyone was stunned. Elder brother Yun, Jiang Yiran was ashen. He knew he was in huge trouble. Bailey Xianyun laughed. All right. I'll be waiting for you in 3 days. Jiang Yenyun, I hear that you're the most powerful of your generation in the Jiang family. If you lose, does it mean that your entire Jiang family is a pile of trash? But, that's already common knowledge. I shall look forward to it. Ha! Bailey Xianyun chuckled as he turned to leave with Mu Rushue. Mu Feirua frowned slightly. She seemed about to say something, but in the end, she remained silent and left the restaurant. Elder brother Yun, this is all my fault. Please beat me. Jiang Yiran knew he had really messed up. Not only had he gotten Yi Qingtang into trouble, he had even dragged Jiang Yenyun into this mess. Jiang Yenyun glared at Jiang Yiran. Then he suddenly raised his hand and simply swept it across Jiang Yiran's head. Scram! Go back and cultivate. With his eyes red, Jiang Yiran silently nodded and glanced apologetically at Yi Qingtang before leaving without a word. Yi Qingtang was inwardly conflicted. She had not expected this turn of affairs. Jiang Yiran caused today's trouble. I hope you won't take it to heart, Jiang Yenyun said as he looked at Yi Qingtang. Chapter 1670, In Trouble, 2, Yi Qingtang shook her head. Although Jiang Yiran's ability to make enemies had rendered her speechless, she had not taken it to heart. Yi Qingtang had also been shocked when Jiang Yiran prepared to kneel publicly in order to settle the matter, which was why she had immediately moved to stop him. Regardless of the conflict within the Jiang family, they must remain unified against outsiders. How could she allow a Jiang family youth to kneel to someone else? Jiang Yenyun did not say anything else, but just left the restaurant. Tut tut, Jiang Yiran has certainly gotten into huge trouble this time. He even needs Jiang Yenyun to help him out of this mess, Jiang Yisheng said with feeling. Jiang Yenyun was already going to be one of the top 10. Challenging Bailey Xianyun is a given, Jiang Shaobai remarked lazily. Even without this incident, Jiang Yanyun's target would still be the same. AI, now that you've said it, that makes sense. Jiang Shaobai glanced at the other in disdain and did not say anything else. But Yi Qingtang felt that matters were not so simple. Of course Bailey Xianyun knew Jiang Yanyun's intentions. But Bailey Zuanyun's attitude had been extremely arrogant. Either he was unaware of Jiang Yanyun's abilities, or he had a trump card that assured him of victory. Because of Jiang Yiran's affair, news of Jiang Yenyun and Bailey Zuanyun's match reached the upper echelons of the Jiang and Bailey families. If Jiang Yenyun lost, the Jiang family would never be able to hold its head up in the presence of the Bailey family again. Younger sister Rushue, why do you still look so unhappy? Meanwhile, Bailey Xianyun was speaking to the unhappy-looking Mu Rushue. Mu Rushue said, "Elder brother Xianyun, why did you let that Yi Qingtang off like that? Who cares if Jiang Yenyun wins or loses? I just can't stand Yi Qingtang's face." Mu Rushue was clearly displeased with how Bailey Xianyun had handled the matter. In response, Bailey Xianyun laughed and coaxed her, "Younger sister Rushue, that's not true. I've already said that I will only let Yi Qingtang off if Jiang Yenyun beats me. If he loses, Yi Qingtang will have to abide by the agreement and disfigure herself." Mu Rukshu's eyes brightened at Bailey Xuanyun's words. "Elder brother Xianyun, are you certain you will win?" Bailey Xianyun laughed and said, "Of course. Younger sister Rushue, don't worry. I will certainly win in 3 days' time. Then I will make Yi Qingtang publicly disfigure herself. Won't that satisfy your hatred? Not only will we reduce the Jiang family's reputation to shreds, we will destroy the face that you dislike, killing 2 birds with 1 stone. Won't that be wonderful?" When she heard that, Mu Rushue looked much happier. "Elder brother Xianyun, you must keep your word." "Of course." Bailey Xianyun smiled. Jiang Yenyun is the most powerful member of his generation in the Jiang Yenyun. The Jiang family has no one else to send into the arena, so naturally they will certainly lose in this round. "Elder brother Xianyun, you're very wise," Mu Rushue said with a smile. Bailey Xianyun was inwardly feeling smug. He had seized the opportunity to sweet-talk Mu Rushue. "Younger sister Rushue, don't worry. I will tell everyone else in the Bailey family to vote for you in this year's Martial Arts Championships beauty rankings." The smile continued to blossom on Mu Rukshu's face. This was what she deserved, after all. The Bailey and Mu families would certainly vote for her, not to mention the others. Her looks were outstanding, why worry that she would lose? It was just that she didn't like the things those trash were saying. To please Mu Rushue, Bailey Xianyun made sure to check the beauty rankings after the youths of both families had voted. Chapter 1671, In Trouble, 3, the results of the beauty rankings would be announced the next day. In order to prevent anyone from tampering with the ballot box, the number of votes each one had obtained would also be released at the time. Mu Rushue and Bailey Xianyun went to check the rankings with full confidence. But when Mu Rushue saw that she was second with 30 votes, she turned pale. Then she saw that the person at the top of the ranking had 20 or so more votes than her. Her expression turned extremely gloomy. When she saw the name of the person who topped the ranking, bitterness and rage surged within her. Yi Qingtang. What kind of joke is this? How can she be number 1? Mu Rushue stared at Yi Qingtang's name at the top of the ranking in disbelief. Dark flames seemed to shoot from her eyes and she was furious enough to strangle that wench. Bailey Xianyun also had not expected this outcome, and his expression stiffened. There were only 20 people from the Jiang family. Even if they had all voted for Yi Qingtang, that was only 20 votes. Where had the other 30 votes come from? They had not expected that on the day that Yi Qingtang had gracefully left the restaurant, everyone present had immediately tore up their vote for Mu Rushue and written Yi Qingtang's name instead. Although Mu Rukshu's mood had just lifted, it now fell to the bottom of the abyss once again. "Elder brother Xianyun, I can't wait any longer. I want Yi Qingtang dead immediately." Immediately. Mu Rushue felt that she had never been so insulted in her life. Bailey Xianyun frowned slightly, but he had another plan. A day passed swiftly with 2 more rounds of matches. Yi Qingtang's luck was truly incredible. Each time, her opponent was not too powerful, only slightly more powerful than the previous opponent. She smoothly passed through each round. Instead, it was Jiang Yisheng who lost. Because several people from the last championship were absent, the number of participants for the final round of this championship had been increased from 10 to 20. Now, they were competing to select the top 20. The incredibly lucky Yi Qingtang made it to this last round of the selections. At the moment, only she, Jiang Yenyun and Jiang Shaobai were left out of the Jiang family participants. Yi Qingtang was a dark horse in this competition and the Jiang family elders could not help but marvel over her luck. Strangely enough, the opponents that Yi Qingtang met in the 2 previous rounds were fairly powerful, but were either unwell or injured. They only fought for a while before admitting defeat. The others felt that Yi Qingtang was extremely lucky to have encountered such a fortunate turn of events. However, luck could only bring her so far. The dozen in the final round were all the top competitors from the various ancient clans. No matter who Yi Qingtang fought, she would certainly lose. The Jiang family elders were already very pleased with Yi Qingtang's current situation. So when they drew lots for the final round, they were already prepared for Yi Qingtang to lose. When the results of the lots were announced, Bailey Xianyun made a youth from the Bailey family exchange his lot with Mu Rushue. After the exchange, Mu Rukshu's opponent was announced. Yi Qingtang. Mu Rushue instantly looked smug. She clutched the lot she had obtained from the exchange, and looked at Yi Qingtang in mocking derision. Yi Qingtang should thank her. If she had not wanted to publicly tear Yi Qingtang's face into shreds, Yi Qingtang would not have had the good fortune to remain in the competition up until now. For the past few days, Yi Qingtang's opponents had happened to be from the Bailey family and the Mu family. When Mu Rushue heard the news, she immediately asked the opponents to deliberately give Yi Qingtang a chance to win. The 2 of them were fairly powerful, but it was unlikely they would make it into the top 10. So they would not offend Mu Rushue and Bailey Xianyun over this matter. In the final round, all the families and elders would be present and Mu Rushue wanted to completely shame Yi Qingtang in front of everyone on that day. In the future, she would be too embarrassed to appear in front of anyone else. Thinking about this, Mu Rushue was all smiles. How did it feel to smash a person's hopes into Norinth? Chapter 1672, Bearing the Consequences, 1, What a Coincidence. Jiang Yixing was stunned when he saw who Yi Qingtang's opponent was. Jiang Shaobai's eyes narrowed. On the side, Jiang Yiran looked shocked. He glanced at Mu Rushue and Yi Qingtang, and could not help but look worried. Yi Qingtang, why don't you just admit defeat? Jiang Yiran was silent for a moment before he finally spoke with some difficulty. Jiang Yiran was not trying to mock Yi Qingtang when he asked her to admit defeat. He was sincerely concerned for her. Jiang Yiran was already vexed that his jesting words had offended that lunatic, Mu Rushue. He had already dragged Jiang Yenyun into the mess. Now he hoped that Yi Qingtang would not be hurt by his mischief. In the earlier round, Mu Rushue had tried to kill him. Now Yi Qingtang was fighting her instead. Given Mu Rukshu's vindictive nature, she certainly would not miss the chance to kill Yi Qingtang in the arena. This is all my fault for having such a big mouth. Yi Qingtang, I'm not trying to put you down, but Mu Rushue is really too powerful. Even I am no match for her. Now she sees you as a thorn in her flesh. If you enter the arena, she will use some vicious tactic on you. Jiang Yiran was truly frantic. Although he had continually said that he wanted to fight Yi Qingtang, after getting along with each other for so long, he rather liked this silent little girl. It was just that he could not help but make a few mean comments to tease her once in a while. It was not just Jiang Yiran. Even the usually stubborn Jiang Yixing was nodding in agreement. Qingtang, I think you should just forget it, Jiang Yixing said. Yi Qingtang looked expressionlessly at the smug-looking Mu Rushue. Jiang Yiran was terrified that Yi Qingtang had been infected with Jiang Yixing's stubbornness. When he saw that she did not reply, he panicked further. Yi Qingtang, are you afraid? Mu Rushue walked through the crowd, straight towards them. Behind her were a few youths from the Mu family. Her face had a mocking smile. Almost subconsciously, Jiang Yiran stood in front of Yi Qingtang, afraid that Mu Rushue would hurt the latter. Now he was truly feeling guilty. He wished he could slap himself and stop himself from spouting so much nonsense. Loser. Get lost. Murushua did not disguise her contempt when she saw Jiang Yiran. She only glanced at him, then looked straight at Yi Qingtang. I am your opponent today. Yi Qingtang, I did not expect us to be destined to fight each other. So it's destiny, Yi Qingtang said calmly, her expression calm and unreadable. Murushua, what do you want? Jiang Yisheng stepped forward boldly and shouted at her. Is everyone in the Jiang family such a coward? I'm just here to greet my next opponent. Why are all of you in such a frenzy? Perhaps, a contemptuous look of scorn swept over Yi Qingtang as Murushua laughed softly. You think she's no match for me? Ah. No, you don't just think so. It's a fact. Yi Qingtang got here by luck after all. What kind of true abilities can she possess? You Jiangs are so pathetic, we're not yet at the finals, but there are only 3 of you left. Are you really the descendants of the domain monarch's family? Others really question whether it is the case. Her words seemed to drip with poison. Every word hit at the Jiang family youth's sore spots akin to sprinkling salt on open wounds. Chapter 1673, Bearing the Consequences, 2, Murushua had waited for this day long enough. Bailey Xianyun and the Mu family had pulled many strings to get the youths from the other ancient clans whom they knew to vote for Murushua. Today, they had finally forced Yi Qingtang off the top spot in the rankings. Although she now topped the ranking, the loathing in Muruksha's heart deepened further. This position should have been hers by right, but now she was forced to use her connections before she could even have a tenuous hold on her position. This was an insult to her beauty. It was all Yi Qingtang's fault. If not for her, all this would not have happened. What a rotten smell. Jiang Shaobai had yet to speak so far, but now he suddenly spoke up. He frowned slightly and covered his nose as he leaned against Yi Qingtang. What? Yi Qingtang was startled. Jiang Shaobai looked at Yi Qingtang and said, Elder Sister Qing, someone's mouth stinks so badly that the smell makes me nauseous. Let's go somewhere else. I'm afraid I can't stand it much longer and might vomit everything I ate earlier. Yi Qingtang immediately understood Jiang Shaobai's words. Her lips could not help but twitch upwards. When she saw Yi Qingtang smile, Murushua suddenly understood what Jiang Shaobai meant. You little devil, how dare you say my mouth is smelly? You, Jiang Shaobai lazily raised his eyes. Did I name anyone? If your conscience is clear, why are you admitting to it? Or is it? Muruksha's expression immediately darkened. She subconsciously raised her hand to teach Jiang Shaobai a lesson. In return, Jiang Shaobai's eyes turned icy. The instant he looked at Murushua, she felt as if a viper from a deep pit was staring at her. A chill crept over her bones. The hand she had lifted froze in midair. This little devil was truly sinister. Let's go. I'm really about to throw up. Jiang Yiran looked at Murushua, whose expression had stiffened, and dragged Yi Qingtang away without a backward glance. Jiang Yiran and the others followed. Murushua only snapped out of her trance when Jiang Shaobai and the others left. Even so, Murushua could not help but frown whenever she thought of the cold light that had flashed across Jiang Shaobai's eyes. Who is that little devil? Murushua asked. I think he's Jiang Shaobai, from the Jiang family, a youth from the Mu family replied. Jiang Shaobai. Murushua looked puzzled. I heard that he was lost and wandered outside of the family when he was young. The Jiang family only recently found him. He is exceptionally talented and is the second most powerful person in the Jiang family. He's just a little devil. What's so great about him? Murushua scoffed coldly, then turned to leave. Yi Qingtang and Muruksha's match was towards the end and the other youths began their matches first. Jiang Yiran tried several times to persuade Yi Qingtang to admit defeat so as not to give Mu Ruxue a chance to strike, but Yi Qingtang just maintained her silence. This drove Jiang Yiran into a frenzy. At that moment, Elder Qian walked over. He looked at the frantic Jiang Yiran, then at the composed Yi Qingtang and smiled. "Qingtang, you've performed very well this time. Mu Ruxue is truly a very strong opponent. The disparity between your abilities are too great. So even if you lose, you should not take it to heart." Yi Qingtang's performance to date had already exceeded Elder Qian's expectations. He regretted the 10 over years that Yi Qingtang had wasted, but he felt very assured when he saw how hard she had worked after entering the Taiyuan Valley. Now, he treated Yi Qingtang as he would his own disciple and with a little more sincerity. It was why he had specially come over to speak to her. Chapter 1674, Bearing the Consequences, 3, Elder Qian, this is all my fault. That Mu Ruxue, Jiang Yiran hurriedly spoke up and wanted to tell Elder Qian about how he had gotten into trouble and involved Yi Qingtang. He wanted Elder Qian to persuade Yi Qingtang to admit defeat. But before he could finish speaking, Yi Qingtang punched him in the stomach. He could not speak and gasped from the pain. What was this little girl doing? Elder Qian did not know what Jiang Yiran intended to say. "Elder Qian, thank you for your concern. I will do my best." Yi Qingtang's expression was serene when she replied to Elder Qian. Elder Qian nodded contentedly and left. "Little girl, you're so vicious," Jiang Yiran held his throbbing stomach. "I'm entering the arena." "You don't need to bother about anything else," said Yi Qingtang. Jiang Yiran opened his mouth, but no words came out. While the next few matches were taking place, Jiang Yiran vanished into thin air. By the time Yi Qingtang noticed and vaguely sensed that something was amiss, her match with Mu Ruxue was about to begin. "Qingtang. I'm afraid that Jiang Yiran," Jiang Yisheng suddenly raced over to Yi Qingtang, panic written over his face. The front of his robes was covered with blood. "Yi Qingtang. Mu Ruxue, enter the arena." At that moment, Yi Qingtang's name was called to enter the arena. Jiang Yisheng still wanted to say something, but someone came to lead Yi Qingtang to the stage. When Jiang Yisheng saw that, he broke out in cold sweat. Yi Qingtang frowned slightly and her gaze swept past Jiang Yisheng. Jiang Yisheng must have something important to say to her regarding Jiang Yiran. What had happened to Jiang Yiran? Meanwhile, the Jiang family elders were watching from the raised platform as Yi Qingtang prepared to fight Mu Ruxue. As they knew how the match would end, they were not overly concerned. After all, Yi Qingtang and Mu Ruxue were miles apart. She had no hope of winning. It was not just the Jiang family elders. Even the Mu family was not paying any attention to this match. They had never heard of this Yi Qingtang before, and had not seen any outstanding performance from her during this martial arts championship. It was unsurprising that they felt this victory was assured, so it did not matter whether they watched this match or not. Ruxue has done very well this year. She must be in the middle of the third heaven of the heavenly venerate realm. A Bailey family elder smiled at a Mu family elder. She already broke through to the middle stage of the third heaven of the heavenly venerate realm before we came, the Mu family elder said with a smile. Your Mu family has another young genius besides Mu Feirua. Congratulations are in order. The Bailey family elder said. Mu Ruxue's abilities were pretty good. It was unlikely that she would make it into the top 10, but she was already doing very well. Your Bailey family already has 2 members who entered the finals of the previous championship. Bailey Zai's abilities are terrifying, and I heard that Bailey Zuanyan's abilities have also improved vastly this year. The elders from the 2 families did not pay attention to this match, which had a foregone conclusion. Instead, they started flattering each other. As Yi Qingtang pondered the matter, she reached the arena. Mu Ruxue also appeared before her eyes. At that moment, Murushue was all smiles. She looked at Yi Qingtang like she would a lamb led to the slaughter. Yi Qingtang, I didn't think you would dare to enter the arena, Murushue said smilingly as she looked at Yi Qingtang. There was no response from Yi Qingtang. But from the corner of her eye, she glimpsed a spot of fresh blood on Murukshu's sleeve. Chapter 1675, A Tooth for a Tooth. 1. The blood was fresh. Judging from the color, it was likely she had stained her sleeve not too long ago. It was still bright red and wet. Murushue noticed what Yi Qingtang was looking at, and raised her hand to examine her sleeve. A trace of a smile suddenly appeared on her lips. Ah, I'm so careless. I've dirtied my clothes. Murushue raised her head and looked at Yi Qingtang. Jiang Yiran has already laid down his life to beg me to have mercy on you in the arena. Clearly he knows you are no match for me. I thought you would not dare to enter the arena since you asked him to plead with me. I didn't expect you to be so pathetically stupid. Surely you don't think I'll let you off just because Jiang Yiran came to apologize to me? Murukshu's words took Yi Qingtang by surprise. Jiang Yiran had apologized to Murushue. What was going on? What do you mean? Yi Qingtang asked calmly. Murushue chuckled and looked at Yi Qingtang mockingly. What's the matter? You're shameless enough to get Jiang Yiran to plead with me, but not shameless enough to admit it. But, what a pity all you Jiangs are equally stupid. He thought I would let you off if he knelt and allowed me to hack at him as I pleased. Ah. I haven't settled the score with him for embarrassing me that day. I almost killed him just now, and he'll consider that payment for his debts. But as for you, I certainly won't let you off. What have you done to Jiang Yiran? Yi Qingtang's eyes were narrowed and her voice had become extremely soft. What's the matter? Murushue suddenly laughed loudly. She peeked at the corner of the central square. Can't you see for yourself? Yi Qingtang followed Murukshu's gaze and saw a grim-looking Jiang Yenyun carrying a blood-covered figure, rushing away from the crowd. It was only a glance, but Yi Qingtang's heart felt as though it had turned into ice. That idiot, Yi Qingtang drew a deep breath. She had not expected Jiang Yiran to do such a thing. How could he do that just to ensure that Murushue did not try to kill her? Damn him, why was he so stupid that, her heart ached. Don't worry. I didn't kill him. I've always been compassionate. Murushue raised her hand slightly, as if she had shown the utmost grace in not killing Jiang Yiran. But I won't be so nice to you. Murukshu's eyes grew cold. Yi Qingtang's eyes were lowered. But now she raised them and looked at Murushue again. Her previously calm expression had turned frosty. Murushue, I'll say the same to you. Jiang Yiran, I will avenge you. The unexpected response stunned Murushue. She sensed that Yi Qingtang's manner had undergone an obvious transformation. You overestimate yourself. I would like to see how terribly you die in my hands. Murushue suddenly drew her sword and tilted her chin towards Yi Qingtang. Jiang Yisheng, who was outside the arena, was frantic. He crouched by the side of the arena, wishing that he could go over and drag Yi Qingtang down. Is Qingtang mad? How can she possibly compete with Murushue? That lunatic is so vicious, she will certainly make things difficult for Qingtang. Xiaobai, why won't you try to dissuade her? Jiang Xiaobai was standing next to the arena. He looked at the chilly-looking young girl standing under the glaring hot sun and did not even bat an eyelid. My elder sister Qing won't lose. He spoke very slowly. His voice was very soft and his words were almost blown away by the wind. She won't lose. Even Jiang Yiran was no match for Murushue, Jiang Yisheng said. Didn't Jiang Yiran also lose to elder sister Qing? Xiaobai remarked casually. Chapter 1676, A Tooth for a Tooth, 2, Jiang Yishen gaped. Xiaobai, that was Jiang Yiran deliberately giving her a chance. The two incidents are not comparable. Shut up and watch. Jiang Xiaobai frowned at the ruckus he was making. In the arena, Murushue had drawn her sword. The blade glittered coldly under the rays of the sun and ripples of spirit energy coursed through her. The spirit energy around her transformed into a glistening wave of light, like stars scattered around her. What's going on? Murushue is actually using the Mu family's whirling stars move. Am I seeing things, or is Murushue crazy? She's using the whirling stars move on that little girl from the Jiang family? How has that Yi Qingtang offended Murushue? Why is Murushue using this move on her? The group of youths who were watching went berserk. The whirling stars move was a sword technique unique to the Mu family. It was infinitely powerful. The moment it came into play, it would enclose everything within a given area. All the spirit energy could be transformed into sharp blades and an opponent in the vicinity of the whirling stars would be flayed, until only bare bones remained. This was the Mu family's most vicious move, although not its most powerful one. Even Elder Qian, who was on the elevated platform, could not help but widen his eyes. What was going on? Could there be some enmity between Murushue and Yi Qingtang? Otherwise, why would Murushue use such a vicious move on Yi Qingtang? Elder Qian had wanted Yi Qingtang to gain more experience, but now he could not help but feel worried. With Yi Qingtang's abilities, she certainly could not survive Mu Ruksha's whirling stars move. She would be killed. In the arena, Murushue was feeling smug. If she had not wanted to utterly crush Yi Qingtang, she would not even bother to use a move like the whirling stars. Murushue felt that Yi Qingtang's abilities were such that the latter could not even withstand a single stroke of her sword. Tsch. What a bore. Yi Qingtang, you should thank me for allowing you to enjoy such a nice view before you die. But how can someone as ugly as you bear the sight of such a beautiful move? Mu Ruksha's smile was filled with condescension. As Yi Qingtang looked at the spirit energy that was slowly gathering and approaching her, her mind was filled with the image of Jiang Yiran's bloody figure. That idiot! The mid-stage of the third heaven of the heavenly venerate realm? Yi Qingtang glanced at the cold gleam amidst the spirit energy. Afraid? A pity that it's too late. You should have realized the disparity between us earlier and just kowtowed and admitted that you were at fault, or admitted defeat. Too bad that now. I won't give you a second chance, Murushue jeered. But Yi Qingtang only calmly looked away. Empty vessels make a lot of noise. Yi Qingtang's soft words took Murushue by surprise. The next moment, Yi Qingtang's figure simply vanished. Her speed shocked Murushue. What was going on? Where had Yi Qingtang gone? While Murushue was in a state of shock, Yi Qingtang suddenly appeared behind her. Murushue felt a cold blast attacking her from behind. She instinctively turned to see that Yi Qingtang had lifted her foot to viciously stamp on the beautiful face that she was so proud of. One kick from Yi Qingtang sent Murushue flying forward with a crash. But she had flown less than a meter before Yi Qingtang reached out and grabbed her by her long hair, hauling her back. Ah! Murushue screamed piteously as her scalp was almost ripped apart. Yi Qingtang showed no signs of pity and only twisted around to stamp on Mu Ruksha's stomach again. You're tuning in to the Blissful Bookshelf YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.